This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball. And tonight from downtown St. Louis, we kick off a 3-game series. It's the Washington Nationals and the St. Louis Cardinals. Welcome to the broadcast booth here at Busch Stadium. I'm Dan McLaughlin. That's the Cardinals Hall of Famer Jim Edmonds, and Jim Hayes is with us as well. It was the toughest loss of the year for the Cardinals yesterday. They were 1 strike away from taking 2 of 3 against Milwaukee. Instead, the Brewers take 2 of 3. So St. Louis has got to bounce back.
Yeah, turn the page also. You got to have a short memory if you're a closer, but you have to learn. And right here, I felt that I was watching this game. I could see this coming. A lot of walks in that inning. Too many off-speed pitches to a guy who doesn't have the same bat speed. But, like I said, turn the page, move on, and keep going forward.
The Central standings, 13 games to play for St. Louis. They're 2 in front of Chicago. 7 matchups with the Cubbies left head-to-head. And then Milwaukee is 3 back in the National League wild card. It's the Nationals atop of that list. So, the matchup tonight, it's a good one. Dakota Hudson and Steven Strasburg.
Yeah, I think that both of these guys are as good as it gets right now in the league. Strasburg's been pitching better than anyone else on their team. And Dakota Hudson is up there and wins with us in the league. So this will be a good matchup. I think this is going to be a good couple days for baseball for the pitchers and be rough for the hitters. So we'll see how it goes.
The heat is on. You bet. It's a pennant race. We'll go across the street, Ballpark Village, and our studio. We'll talk about that pennant race next. Busch Stadium, big crowd. Let's head downstairs. Big story with the Cardinals, Carlos Martinez. Jim, does he pitch tonight? If possible, does it happen?
They're hoping so. Carlos unavailable yesterday with a respiratory issue. Carlos told me it all started in Colorado when he began having trouble breathing. He says it didn't get any better when he got back to St. Louis. He spent Saturday night in a hospital where Carlos says doctors told him he was dealing with a combination of asthma and allergies. Mike Schultz says the good news is after treatment, Carlos is doing much better and should be available to pitch tonight.
I think we got hands around it, hopefully, but he hasn't exercised and played catch yet, so that'll be a defining help with the decision. But it looks like he's going to be fine to compete tonight, and looking forward, moving ahead with him.
Carlos told me he was having so much trouble breathing he actually feared for his life. Dan, thankfully, he's doing much better today.
That is good news, Jimmy. Thank you, and we hope to see Carlos at the back end of the game tonight. Dakota Hudson, Steven Strasburg. The Nationals are here. Should be a fun series. Game 1 comes your way next. Should be a lot of fun here tonight. Let's go. Let's get it on. It's game number 1 of a 3-game series. The Nationals and the Cardinals, 92 degrees. Boy, it was hot today. Starting to cool off a little bit. Along with Jim Edmonds, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Jim Hayes is with us as well. And Dakota Hudson, it's a matchup of earlier this season. Hudson and Strasburg. Dakota 15-7 this year. The ERA just below 3.5, and this should be a lot of fun, Jimmy.
Yeah, I think these two kids, they're even young. Strasburg's no kid anymore, but these two guys are at the top of their game right now. They're saying that Strasburg is their best pitcher, and clearly Dakota is having a great season. So this should be an interesting night for the pitchers and also an interesting night for the hitters to see how they're going to battle guys with really good stuff.
Davey Martinez is not with the Nationals. He is back home in Washington. He's dealing with a heart issue, so he had to be hospitalized, or at least taken to the hospital to have a procedure. It's not thought to be serious, but not with us tonight. So acting manager will be Chip Hale. Trey Turner at the top of their lineup, then Adam Eaton, Anthony Rendon. He might be the MVP. Juan Soto, Asdrubal Cabrera, Ryan Zimmerman, Victor Robles, Yan Gomes, and Steven Strasburg, the GMC lineup. And Mike Schultz and the Cardinals trying to bounce back after a heartbreaker yesterday. They come in first place in the Central by 2 games. They are 83-66.
Heartbreaker for sure yesterday, huh?
Woo!
That was tough.
And the first pitch to Trey Turner is taken for a ball, and we are underway. Trey Turner with 32 stolen bases this year. Very good speed at the top of their lineup. 2 balls and no strikes. May remember that the Cardinals won 3 of 4 between these teams back in late April and early May. And the Cardinals, it was a series really defined by their pitching. Ground ball left side. Tommy Edman playing in. One away.
I'll tell you what, this kid, day in and day out, just keeps doing it. I mean, that is a exceptional play for where he's standing. This ball's on top of him in a second. 1 hop, 2 hop, short hop. And oh, by the way, the guy running down the line, he wasn't running there, but he's as fast as anyone in this league.
Yes, he is. Cardinal defense, there's Tommy Edman at third, DeYoung at short, Wong and Goldschmidt on the right side, Molina behind the plate, Ozuna, Bader, Fowler in the outfield. Around the Horn is presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Here's Adam Eaton. He was hurt last year. Remember, they made that big trade with the White Sox to bring Eaton to Washington, and he has been healthy this season.
Tell you what, you want to know what I think about Adam Eaton?
Hold that thought. Popped up. Tommy Edman over, makes the catch. Another good play by Tommy.
Just do it all, Tommy, all by yourself. Woo. Dakota, you throw it, they'll hit it to Tommy. We'll make some plays. This is a tough play right here, especially for a young man who hasn't played that many games in this stadium. That's a lot of room to run. And you got to worry. Think about all the plays you've seen where guys have run into the wall, they've gone into the stands, knees have hit poles. You're thinking about that when you're running over there and you're getting close. You've seen a lot of balls dropped because of that. That's a pretty nice play by Tommy right there.
Really well done.
It's not as easy as it looks. That's what I'm trying to say.
What were we going to say about Eaton?
Oh, we'll talk about it later.
Okay.
We'll just pass.
Need a lifeline here for Jimmy. A pass.
I call a friend.
Call a friend. Here's Anthony Rendon, and I mentioned he could be the MVP. Well, look at the numbers. 332, that is first in the National League. He's driven in 118, first in the National League, and he's popped 33 home runs.
And he's going to be a free agent.
He's also first in doubles, 43. His on-base percentage is .416, and he's second in runs scored. It's been a great year for Anthony Rendon. 0-2 the count. And the one category that everybody in baseball looks at, studies, and wants to be at the top of that list is OPS, on base plus slugging. And Rendon is third best. And that's not just in the National League, that's all of baseball.
I mean, that's what everybody's going on now, that OPS. And I guess we just really don't talk about it that much because we don't really spend that much time with stats. We give kind of the history of what's going on. You talk about what pitchers have done lately. I try to describe the game, but that OPS is the benchmark right now for how guys are getting paid and how they're measuring up to each other. And clearly you want slugging plus on base percentage, and just something that's really taken over the game.
2-out base hit to left.
So much for the OPS, because this is just a simple single, but at the end of the year, base hit is a base hit. Is a nice job. This is why this guy can hit. Clearly, that's not his objective right there, is to pull the hands in and just flip one into the outfield. But it's going to get the job done. It's going to get you into a situation where, as a team player, you're on first base now with 2 outs, and you got one of the most dangerous hitters on their team to the plate right now.
Team leader in home runs with 34. It's Juan Soto. He's driven in 105, the average at 296, so he has put together another great year.
I'll tell you what, I heard a lot of rumbling about this young man, and it's kind of been up and down, but he's been good, but he's been quiet, right? He's quiet because we don't really know that much about this team. I've talked to a few different people that said of all the young players in baseball, this is the kid they would start with.
Interesting. Numbers bear that out, and he's only maybe the biggest number, 20 years old. Grounds out to short, so the Nationals strand a runner. Coming up, Dexter Fowler, Colton Wong, Paul Goldschmidt, the top of the Cardinal lineup. Dexter Fowler at the top of the Cardinal lineup. Then Colton Wong, Paul Goldschmidt, Marcell Ozuna, Paul DeYoung, Yadier Molina, Tommy Edman, Harrison Bader, Dakota Hudson, the GMC lineup for Mike Schilt. So the switch hitter, Dexter Fowler. 249 the average, and he's popped 17 home runs. Cardinals with 83 wins, the Nationals 82. And 17 of those 82 wins have the name of Steven Strasburg behind it. So he'll go tonight. Looking to join Justin Verlander and Domingo Germán as the only 18-game winners in the major leagues this year. Picks up a ton of strikeouts. He's got 229, and that's 10 back of Jacob deGrom for the National League lead. Here's a 1-0 pitch to Dexter Fowler with a shift on the right side. 1 ball and 1 strike. Strasburg, 3 starts against the Cardinals since 2016, and boy, he has been good. 3-0, 1.83 ERA, only 4 earned runs in 19 2/3. So in those 3 starts, he's been good and dominant at times with 22 strikeouts.
Yeah, they're talking about this guy right now being the best pitcher on the team in Washington.
And maybe the guy they're looking for if they get there to start game 1 or the game to get into the playoffs. This is right now their ace.
So you go with Strasburg, good choice. You'd go with Corbin, good choice. Oh, by the way, you got Max Scherzer, good choice.
Wait a second, what about this guy? Yeah. You got one of the best pitchers in the league.
Yep. And the 2-2 ripped down the right field line, but yanked foul. Jim Edmonds Toyota, key to the game.
Well, you talk about pitching, right? For a hitter, you better be ready to hit when you get a strike, especially with Strasburg. He's got so many different pitches and movement and velocity, different velocities. He's throwing his breaking ball and changeup more often than he used to. So when you get a fastball to hit, be ready to hit it. I think that's pretty much goes for this whole series.
You know, when you think about the Cardinals, when they brought over Dexter Fowler, it was about a guy that gets on base and works counts, and he's been doing a lot of that here in the last month.
Yeah, he's really stepped up his game. I mean, what he's done this year on and off the field for this team is amazing. And you think about the perfect situation with a guy like Dexter and a guy like Matt Carpenter. And now even looking at this right now, how about flipping those 2 guys around and let Dexter lead off and have Matt Carpenter hit second? You got the hole, you got 2 guys, and like I said, in a perfect world, you got 2 guys that are going to see 5 or 6 pitches minimum per at bat, and you're going to have a pitcher pitching to Goldschmidt when he could probably already have 15 pitches into the game.
Yeah,
he's going to at least see, they're going to see 12, and that's just part of what the Cardinals organization wanted to see, and it just hasn't worked out. Dexter having a tough year last year, Matt having on and off a year last year, and then again this year. It just hasn't been perfect, but nonetheless, Dexter has done a great job.
And now you have Colton Wong who can do the same thing. He's improving in that area. So that's kind of what they're trying to do at the top of the order.
Runner goes, chopped foul, then it's 0-2. Fowler had a very good jump. He's got 7 stolen bases this year. The Cardinals lead the National League in steals. By the way, that was the 9th walk for Fowler in the last 5 games.
He's been super patient, which is amazing because usually when you start to get hot, you want to hit. But the good thing about that is he's played long enough to understand that when you get hot, it's because you're starting to see the ball better. It isn't about how many hits you get. It's that you're getting hits and you're getting on base.
0-2 pitch. Colton Wong hitting .351 since the All-Star break. 6th best in Major League Baseball. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Strasburg making his 3rd consecutive start against a first-place team. Lost to the Braves 4-2 back on the 4th of this month. Gave up 3 runs in 6 innings. Then beat the Twins 6-2 last Wednesday. 2 runs in 6 innings, and tonight he gets St. Louis. Runner goes. And it's going to be handled by the catcher, Yan Gomes. Advancing into scoring position, Dexter Fowler. The Nationals defense, Soto, Robles, Eaton in the outfield. Rendon, Turner, Cabrera, Zimmerman along the infield, and Yan Gomes is behind the plate. Paul Goldschmidt, home runs 30 and 31 over the weekend. Drove in 7 on Friday night, batting .259, and he's driven in 89 on the year.
Had a great conversation with Ryan Ludwig on the plane to Chris's funeral, and he was in the locker room that day with Goldie, and he said to him, which I love this, but this is what I love about ex-players. He said Goldie was kind of him and hawing a little bit, and Luddy said, "You're the best hitter on this team. Go out there and act like it," and not so many words. And he basically hit, home run and then another home run. And Luddy said, "See,
there you go."
That's how easy it is. But it's just so much fun to be around ex-teammates that understand how hard this game is and how simple it can be at the same time. So it was amazing to spend 6 hours in the air with Rick Ankiel, Ryan Ludwig, Brad Thompson, and Randy Flores, and of course John Mozeliak. And don't forget, Andrea Thompson was there chipping in to Brad's wife, the boss of their family. So it was great. It was great to be around them. It was an honor to be a part of the Cardinals organization, be able to go and see the funeral as a group, and it was just time well spent for us. Look at those 2 guys right there. They might never stop smiling, ever.
One for sure.
Even Willie, he's always got a smile on his face.
0-2 the count on Paul Goldschmidt. Pickoff, and Fowler back in safely. Kurt Suzuki as a catcher on their bench. He's been dealing, though, with some soreness, not getting a chance to play defensively much.
It's called a 162-game schedule.
And Reed is also a backup catcher for them tonight. Right-handed bench player, hitter. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Paul Goldschmidt with 1 out. And a strikeout of Goldie, the first of the night.
Good changeup right here. Look at that spin. It looks like a sinker a little bit. Still don't see a lot of right-handers throw right-handers good changeups.
This is the highest career strikeouts per 9, minimum 200 starts. And it's Sale, Strasburg second, Scherzer, Randy Johnson, and Pedro Martinez. Talked briefly today with Max Scherzer, and he was telling me that Mom and Dad will be here on Wednesday. That'll be his start. Many family and friends, and he already was, let's just say, fairly focused and intense.
Mom and Dad, bring an umbrella. Hopefully the heat is not as bad as it was today. I sat down there the other day. Whew, it wasn't even hot, and it's hot in those stands.
Ozuna has some of the most extensive numbers in terms of history and matchups with the Nationals. His time in the NL East with Miami, 13 for 41 against Steven Strasburg. Couple of home runs. It's a .317 average.
Milwaukee playing host to San Diego tonight. They're just underway, and there's no score. Cubs and Reds. Hit down the left field line and out of play. Strasburg would have to win all 3 of his remaining starts. He would join Ross Grimsley, Gio Gonzalez, and Max Scherzer as the only 20-game winners in franchise history. Grimsley did it in '78 with the Expos, and then Gonzalez 21 in 2012, and Scherzer won 20 games back in 2016. Here's a 1-2 pitch to the Cardinal left fielder. Out to deep left center. At the wall. 2-0. 2-0. On a rocket off the bat of Marcell Ozuna.
Fastball away. He didn't get it where he wanted to. You're going to get the ball over the plate against Marcell Ozuna. It cannot be up. He's got electric bat speed. Just a simple 412 feet off the bat. 106 miles an hour. Exit velocity.
2-0 Cardinals on that blast. His 28th of the year. He's now driven in 84.
My son Landon just texted me. There it is. So behind the story, we were sitting in the front row the other day, and he walked up to me after his first at bat against when was it? It was yesterday. And that I forget who was pitching now. Was throwing cutters, a lot of cutters. Guys were missing him. And I said, hey, try to hit a home run to center field. And he looked at me and said, what? And I said in Spanish, try to hit a home run to center field. And he said, okay. And he hit that ball down the right field line yesterday.
Yeah.
Right? And he walked back to the dugout and he looked over at me and he went like this with his fingers, pinched them together. He was like that close. And so Landon was like, what did you say to him? And I said, try to hit the ball to center field, because the guy was pitching everyone away, throwing a cutter. I think that Paul DeYoung said, I think the first home run that Bader hit might have been a cutter, a little cutter that didn't break much, didn't just spun. But I thought it was funny. So after the game, we went in there and he's like, when are you coming back? I said, I'll be here tomorrow night.
Be curious what he has to say to you after that one.
A little bit more centrally located.
Yep. 2-2.
Just so much fun being around these guys, just knowing what they're going through day in and day out, and the fact that more and more that you're around, that they trust you and that they know what you've been through. And it's really cool. The relationships are really, really fun. And I think especially when now, as much time as I've been around, but doing the TV and being Mo's assistant and being, you know, in uniform during the day, it's been really fun this year. And it's funny because as soon as Landon walks in the room, everyone says, hey, there's my favorite Edmonds. Because they love Landon, they love the kids. And this is a pretty good group of guys. And
Mike wants that too. He wants the kids around.
Yeah.
Good at bat by Paul DeYoung, and that's 2 walks in the inning and a 2-run homer and a pitch count on the rise. 27 here in the first inning.
Well, this is what you got to do to guys like this. You have to make them throw strikes, and when they throw them, you have to be ready to hit, like I said. But really, you cannot. There's a guy like Roger Clemens. You can't swing at all the pitches that he throws that are near strikes. You've got to center him up over the middle of the plate, because a lot of these good pitchers will make you swing at their pitches. They don't just throw the ball down the middle. They throw the ball that runs just off the plate. The sinker that Ozuna swung at in the pitch 2 pitches before the home run was a sinker that ran in off the plate. It's that pitch right there you got to be careful of. That pitch over the middle of the plate ends up being in the gap, but the ball that runs in a little bit more, you have to have enough patience to take. And that's how you get pitch counts up and that's how you get through battling against a tough guy like this.
0-2 the count. Molina 0 for his last 14. That home run was the 23rd allowed by Steven Strasburg, which is now a career high for him. It's been a rough go here recently for Marcell Ozuna. He had been just 7 for 62. There's a base hit into left center. And the inning continues as Molina connects on an 0-2.
A nice job staying with the changeup right there. He already threw him the fastball in. He threw him the breaking ball. So Yadi just going to stay back and do the best he can to just battle, and he just hangs him a changeup. Don't try to do too much. Just try to put it in play. That's a great piece of hitting right there.
30 pitches here in the first inning. Runners at the corners, and the batter will be Tommy Edman. Edman, 4 home runs, 7 runs batted in his last 8 games. He's also homered in back-to-back games.
How about the homer the other way, right-handed?
Off of Josh Hader.
That's awesome.
You kidding me? Boom! There it goes. 2-run homer, and that pulled the Cardinals within 1.
They tried. They tried to come back, didn't they? They never gave up. Pretty impressive.
That's why I think this 2-0 lead, striking first after the way that yesterday ended, is so important. Put it behind you, move on. So nice. 2 outs and 2 on.
Nice to maybe get another one right here. However you can get it in here. Pass ball, bunt, whatever it takes. Oh.
It's a big swing pitch there from 2-0. Instead now 1-1.
Way off the plate too. That's a tough pitch to swing at. If you throw that pitch 5 times in a row, you don't swing at it at all.
May surprise you, but Tommy Edman hitting just 185 with runners in scoring position. It's just when he comes through, it just seems to be in big spots.
Really big.
One and 2 the count on the Cardinal third baseman. Yadi is running, and the pitch is spoiled. Has to be with 2 strikes after the strike call on him earlier. Yadi would have had that stolen easily, which for Molina, which would have been stolen base number 5. Strasburg was not paying attention at all. Ozuna home run, the Molina hit, all came with 2 strikes. Tommy Edman trying to add to that. Just got a piece. Molina back in safely. Inning started with a walk to Fowler. Colton Wong bounce back to Strasburg. Strikeout at Paul Goldschmidt. Ozuna with 2 strikes, a home run. DeYoung a walk. Molina on an 0-2 pitch, a single, and now 1 and 2 to Tommy Edman. And a stolen base for Yadier Molina, number 5. This is almost a delayed steal here.
Just looked like he was taking a chance to run no matter what. Wasn't so much a delayed steal as that he got a really small lead, so they're not paying attention. In the last second, he just kind of shuffled and went. Probably seeing something that,
knowing maybe they're not going to pick off, or the fact that the first baseman really wasn't holding him. You got enough eyes watching the game. You have enough things going on and enough people paying attention. Stuff like that, especially with all the intel they got, is like hey, they've never thrown over when the first baseman is in front of the runner, or they've never thrown over when he's behind. You know what I mean? They don't ever put a pickoff play on. Not the whole year. So what do? You take that chance.
Base hit, might score 2. The 3-2 pitch. He struck him out. Long inning for Strasburg comes to a close, but the Cardinals strike first. A 2-run homer, Marcell Ozuna. We move to the second.
Not at all.
Marcell Ozuna, the 2-run homer for St. Louis, his 28th of the year. Let's head downstairs and say hello and good evening to Jim Hayes.
Hey, Danny. Thankfully, Carlos Martinez is doing a lot better today after missing yesterday's game with a respiratory issue. Carlos told me it all started on the road trip in Colorado. He told me I felt tightness in my chest. I couldn't breathe properly. That's when it started, and it didn't get better when we got back to St. Louis. He spent Saturday night in a hospital where Carlos was having so much trouble breathing he thought he might die, but doctors determined he got a double whammy of asthma and allergies. Carlos got treatment and is doing great today. Mike Schultz said he expected that Carlos could pitch tonight.
Thank you, Jimmy. We appreciate that. If you get a moment, come on up to the booth
and cool off.
Later in the game, I have just a wonderfully written letter. I meant to give this to you.
It was back in April from Dennis and Denise Dotem. And wonderful couple. Their son Deke, and they wanted me to pass along a note personally for you, and I'll make sure and get that in your hands. We appreciate them and their support of Cardinals baseball. Here's a ground ball and taken there by Goldschmidt, and a flip to Dakota Hudson for the out. Brings in Ryan Zimmerman. Seems like Ryan Zimmerman was
in uniform with the Expos with Gary Carter and Tim Raines, and then moved at the front. I mean, he's been around forever.
He has. He's still doing it, too. He had a ball the other day. It was a bomb. It was a game winner.
So 1 out and nobody on. A key in this game could be that first inning. Not only the home run, but the fact it wound up being 38 pitches for Steven Strasburg. And I bring that up because Washington's bullpen has an ERA of 8 and opponents hitting .331 since September 4th against that pen.
Well, if they can even string any kind of inning like that, even half of that, maybe another 1, maybe 2, he's not going to make it 5 with that kind of pitch count. And that's, like I said, that's the way. You've got to pay attention to stuff like that when you're facing a guy who's tough. You've got to try to find one way to beat him, and that's one of the ways to do it.
2-1 the count. Ryan Zimmerman this year 6 home runs as he chops it to short to Young. Out number 2, another ground ball, and that's 4 ground ball outs of the 6, or rather the 5 that Hudson has gotten. Arcia give it everything. Lowest ERA in baseball since the 1st of August. Flaherty, Sonny Gray, then Garrett Cole, Dakota Hudson. So 2 of the top 4 and the young right-handers for St. Louis. Cardinals won 3 of 4 in Washington. Loss at finale with this matchup, Strasburg and Hudson. Cardinals lead in the Central down to 2. And you never know, you may have a matchup with the Nationals in the wild card game. That is not out of the question. So if that ends up playing out, then this series could swing home field advantage one direction or another for that ball game.
Very big on many fronts these 3 nights. Off of Hudson, stays with it and makes the play. 9-pitch inning for Dakota Hudson. Coming up, Harrison Bader. He homered twice yesterday. Fox Sports Go. Stream us live for Cardinal baseball. Upcoming St. Louis Blues hockey and Missouri Valley Conference basketball. We had Doug Elgin, the commissioner of the MVC, on the pregame show. One of the finest in college athletics, and he's been doing it a long time in the MVC, based right here in St. Louis. Bring a lot of money to our region and to the city of St. Louis with their postseason basketball tournament. Great to see Doug. Missouri Valley Conference. Harrison Bader, Dakota Hudson, Dexter Fowler. Bader with those 2 home runs yesterday, now in double digits. 10 on the year. He's driven in 35. Fastball, nothing in 2.
It's all right. That's the pitch you got to take. You cannot swing at that pitch no matter what. If you strike out on that pitch, that's better than chasing. This is not a good pitch for to swing at. It's probably not a strike. It's nasty. Even if it is in the zone barely, cannot chase that. And that's a good take for Harrison Bader. Because if you take that pitch and you think, man, I got to hit that pitch, just like that's probably how he used to think before, he'd swing at that slider right there. So if you just go, okay, it's not a strike. I'm not going to get carried away. Then you don't speed up and then you don't chase.
It's about being antsy, isn't it?
It's just just about not really being worried about the pitch inside. As I keep saying that so much, and the only thing it does is it speeds you up, and it speeds up your eyes and your thought process, and it gets you flinching a little bit. And as soon as you start to flinch, you lose all of your you lose the slow motion process of slowing the game down and seeing the ball and then reacting, because your body actually will catch up because you've been doing this your whole life, as long as you're not trying to do too much. It's like when you see pitchers overthrow. All of a sudden the ball starts zooming up high and away on the throwing arm side. It's the same thing. It's just a different type of philosophy of hitting. It's like you're only going to be able to hit one pitch, and that's that pitch inside. Anything else, you're in trouble.
Here's an 0-1 pitch to Dakota Hudson.
Like, if Harrison comes back to me and I'm the hitting coach, I'm going to say, that's a tough at bat right there. So just learn from it and don't worry about it, because he gets the fastball in, can't swing in it. You got to stay off of it. And then he gets locked up with a good breaking ball. Oh, well, take a tip of your hat. This guy's not like he's a slouch out there. So you just got to come back. You're trying to go 1 for 3 against this guy with a walk today, or 1 for 4 is a good day. 1 for 3 is a good day. You take your one shot at a guy like this, an ace, and be happy with it. And then the next time they run somebody out there that's not their ace, you try and get 2 hits.
And back-to-back strikeouts, 3 in a row. Back-to-back in this inning, and 4 first time through the lineup. Cardinals baseball brought to you by Budweiser. Wherever legendary MLB moments happen, Budweiser will be there. By Chevrolet, the #1 selling brand in the St. Louis area. Find yours at your Mid-America Chevy dealer. And find your Steel dealer at steeldealers.com. Father and son taking in the game. Brought his glove. He is ready.
Heads up, right by that dugout.
Yep. Two outs, shift on the right side. Dexter Fowler walked his first time. It's a different Steven Strasburg here in this second inning, trying to make quick work of the Cardinals. 38 pitch bottom of the first, and now trying to strike out the side here in the second. The 0-2 spoiled.
And sometimes you try to make too good of pitches and you get yourself in a hole, or like you said, the swing pitch, you create yourself, all of a sudden you go from 0-1 to 1-1, and you've just created yourself not a hole, but a little bit of a disadvantage, and you've given the hitter back the advantage, because you've just kind of given them a ball to work with. And then you got to come back out there and say, okay, I'm just going to go straight at him. Whatever happens, happens, just like that.
Strikes out the side, his 5th of the night. We're in St. Louis, Busch Stadium, 2-0 our score. MLB.tv, and a chance for you to see the stretch run, stats, highlights, more, all at MLB.tv. Yan Gomes, Steven Strasburg, and Trey Turner for the Nationals. Schwarber, a 3-run homer in the first for the Cubs. They scored a ton of runs over the weekend against the Pirates, nearly 50 in 3 games. We'll see them first of 4 on Thursday night. 7 games remain between St. Louis and Chicago. Cardinals a total of 13. And the 0-1 pitch. Taken for a ball, low and outside. From June 22nd to July 28th, that was a span of 6 starts. Hudson gave up 10 home runs. In 8 starts since then, just 2 in 48 innings pitched. Started shaky, got on a roll, hit a little bit of a bump, as we just mentioned, and then has been on a roll again.
Well, I don't think that you can have a better learning process than being up here in the big leagues with big league players. Coaches can only teach you so much, and I think that these young pitchers learn more right now sitting in that dugout next to Wainwright, next to Miles, next to the pitching coach, next to a good hitter, than you can really ever learn from just pitching in the minor leagues and kind of just going at it by yourself and talking to a pitching coach once in a while. I think that's why these young guys have done such a great job in this organization over the time, because they've learned from the guys that were before them, and they talk, they watch each other throw bullpens, they pay attention to the game, they talk about how each other throws certain pitches, and that's all coming from Adam Wainwright, and that's how he was taught when he got here, and he still runs it like that. And hopefully when Adam retires or moves on, that these young guys continue that, and if that starts to fall apart, you'll start to see a little less of this learning curve. There's no way, just like I said, there's no way better to learn and be around guys like this right here. They screw around a little bit, they mess around, they have fun, but when something needs to be done and said, or somebody needs to learn something, they're there for it.
Remember asking Chris Carpenter, and this is Steven Strasburg at the plate, I said, give me your mentors that you had coming up. And he said, well, it's kind of a who's who.
Yeah, he played with some good ones.
I said, well, try me. He said, okay, how about the Rocket?
Right, I was going to say Roger Clemens is going to be first.
I said, that's a pretty good one. Then he said David Wells. That's a pretty good one.
Another great one. I saw David Wells at the Masters. Did I tell you that?
Pat Henkin was another one.
Pat Henkin was amazing. And then he came here and he was teaching. He was good in Toronto.
David Wells was not playing in the Masters.
No, I saw him and he was like in full cognito, and he walked up to me and said, hey, Jimmy, and I had no idea who it was.
There's a ground out off the bat of Strasburg, and it takes us back to the top of the lineup in Trey Turner.
Talk about awkward, right? When you see people you haven't seen in forever and you're like, how do I know this person? Because it's like you get it all the time.
Yeah. Mark Dijon, DJ, retiring after 40-plus years inside the Cardinals organization. And many of the front office, the scouts, the coaches, the managers over the years are here in attendance and paying homage to one of the greats in this system, and that is Mark Dijon. Now, you talk about respect. How about this? Those that have been in the minor league system that have pitched for him, played for him, all of them came out after his ceremonial first pitch, which, by the way, was caught by Mike Schilt.
I saw that, and I had to look twice, and I was a little shaken, a little caught off guard, but then I thought about it, and I was Mike Schilt, and I was like, doesn't surprise me one bit. And everyone in the organization loved this guy, loved him. I loved it when he was here with us. Had so much fun with DJ.
DJ's message of the day in spring training. Some of the funniest messages you'd ever hear, but everything had a purpose. But he learned under the great George Kissel. There's DJ in the back waving.
Never
thumbs up.
had a bad day. That guy was so much fun.
day in and day out.
Congratulations,
DJ. Congratulations.
But to your point of how the game is taught in this organization, game is taught by guys like him too.
Oh, for sure.
Year after year after year.
That's where Mr. Kissel.
You bet.
You know what's crazy about Mr. Kissel was not only did he teach the game of baseball to these players, he taught the game of baseball to every one of these coaches. And it was almost like the standard as a style of,
that's my point,
how you bunt, how you do this. And all those guys, those minor league guys who are way underpaid all the time, who work harder than anyone else to get these kids up here to this level and be prepared at this level, don't get the recognition that they ever deserve because they're down there in the minor leagues. It's just like when Harrison Bader goes down, we don't really even know what he's doing, right? But he's down there working. And a guy like DJ, who taught all of these guys for so long, and he was great in the big leagues too, deservingly getting to retire now. Just awesome, awesome. Everybody's phones are blowing up right now. Yeah, we're talking about you guys, all of you.
Three-two pitch. Trey Turner racing to the bag. Goldschmidt, he knows who's at the plate.
He can run.
Turner 0 for 2. Bottom of the third. Special night for DJ. T-Mobile connection to the game. Mike Trout misses the remainder of the season with a foot issue of a cleanup surgery. Good to go for spring training. Cubs 47 runs in that sweep of the Pirates, and the Dodgers clinched home field in the division series. That's our T-Mobile connection to the game. Here's Colton Wong, followed by Goldschmidt and Marcell Ozuna. We have talked a lot about where Colton Wong holds his hands, the high leg kick, the no leg kick. Tell me about his hands and what you think of where he's at right now with his stance.
Well, I think he's made a huge adjustment because he's got his hands down in the hitting zone right now, where before they were high. And so you see how they don't move. So when you're hitting, and I did this a year and it messed me up, and this is how I learned a lot about it. When you're hitting, you hit from right here, right? So you're going right here. Well, when you're holding your hands up like this, and then you got to hit, you got to bring your hands back to that hitting zone.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the transitions he's made. Dexter Fowler did the same thing. Dexter Fowler had his hands up real high in spring training, and then now you notice how he's just kind of resting them. Because if you watch all these guys, everyone hits from a certain spot, and everyone's different.
So
but
you're
there's a spot where you start to come forward this way.
Yeah.
Wherever that spot is, if your hands are in a different area, you have to get them to that spot. And sometimes that'll take an extra tick and then create that little extra drag.
Interesting.
And I think that what Colton has done is, one, he fixed that early. And then two, he slowed down the leg kick. He stopped looking to hit home runs. And then he started having success with 2 strikes. Now he's starting to pile all that information together, and he's become a better hitter. I found out the hard way. I put my hands up. You know that it's funny, it's that home run that I hit in the playoffs. That was when I started to put my hands up, and you can see I had my hands up, but you could see that my hands had to come down, and I was able to hit the high pitch, and my hands were already up there. But I struggled a little bit with that. Because I started to try to get on top of the ball because I was getting pitched in. I was getting pitched up a little bit more. And then I struggled. I couldn't figure out why. And then I started to look at it. And I noticed that my hands had to travel from high to low.
Sure.
And then what it was doing is they weren't getting back to low. And my hands were just staying on top of the ball. And then all of a sudden I lost everything to left center field because that just wasn't my swing. And I couldn't hit line drives into the cage, into the left center field spot.
Now let's talk about his hands too. I think it's interesting.
This is,
you know, Goldschmidt, I talked to him about this. So he said he had a long lunch with Albert Pujols. He idolized Pujols growing up. Went to many games down in Texas when Albert was with St. Louis. And he said, if you look at where I start, he said, I didn't even know that I was starting like this, but then was able to get to kind of where Albert is. So maybe you can talk a little bit about what he does.
And that's just a personality thing. That's just where he's comfortable getting ready. It's like some guys are just not comfortable standing there. And so he allows his hands to get like that. But watch, they'll come up right now, and then he's in the hitting position. And sometimes, though, if you don't get into the hitting position on time, then you'll start struggling. And you just won't be up, like, you know, you'll not get to where you need to be. But the ball, if you take a player without, you take, let's say you take Colton Wong and then you take Goldie and you put them next to each other in the box, right? At the same time the pitch is coming through, I guarantee you they both are with 1 millisecond of each other in the same spot when, let's say, the ball is halfway to the plate. And that's all with the bat upright, shoulder a little bit turned in, and the foot on the ground ready to hit. It doesn't matter how you get there as long as you get there. Guys have leg kicks, guys don't stride. Guys, you see guys with their hands down by their waist.
Craig Counsell
has got his pinkies on the top of the bat, on the bottom of the bat, and holding it upside down. And
never figured out how he hit like that.
I don't know either. But everyone has a different thing. You know, I used to just let my bat rest on my shoulder flat. It's funny too, because I love that I get to use my son as an example the other day, and he says to me, what did you do when, and this is a question that most guys ask, what did you do when you got comfortable in the box and the pitcher was just kind of not ready to work? Is it uncomfortable? And I said, yeah, and that's how I started resting the bat on my shoulder, because if you're holding the bat up the whole time, and all of a sudden it's like a base runner. When you're sitting out there in steal position, and that is why the pitchers come into a hold and hold and hold and hold and then step off and then hold. Your legs get tired.
Timing.
But your legs get tired.
Yeah.
And what they're trying to do is basically fill your legs up with blood so you can't get that quick jump. See, right now, Colton's out there already. He's probably not going to run. If he does, he's timing him up, and there he goes. But you don't really want to be in that really low stance for very long, and that is the whole thing about the running game. That's why you see, I know it's uncomfortable to watch sometimes, and you're trying to figure out why is this guy holding the ball, why is he so slow? Well, that's why. They're trying to build up that lactic acid in the legs so it slows down the jump.
Well, I saw a card of you the other day that you were signing for our good friend Dan Hyatt, and you were in the minor leagues, and it was a card of basically you in a stance. And then I saw another card, but your hands were completely different than what they were.
I had a leg kick in the minor leagues too. Yeah, and I couldn't pull the ball. And so after my rookie year,
runner goes again. Wong to second, and the ball scoots away, and a stolen base. And that is number 23 for Colton Wong.
Tell you what, that's a really nice throw by Yan Gomes. We saw a catcher do this the other day. He didn't even step. Where were we?
It was Stallings at Pittsburgh.
Just how quickly he just gets rid of it. And then if he catches his ball, he's out.
Yep.
That's just not a good play by Cabrera. That's when you'd see Yachty. If that happened to Yachty, whew, there would be some steam coming out of his ears.
Yeah. Nobody out, in a 2-2 pitch here to Paul Goldschmidt.
They're clearly getting under Steven's skin right now. But, you know, it's so all the things that we just talked about are the reasons why I hate when we talk about speeding up the game. Because if you really understand it, yeah, no one wants to be here for 4 hours. But if you understood why Yachty went to the mound twice in one inning with winning run on second, you would understand, you know, you would get it and you would understand it. And if you were rooting for that team, you would be, hey, I would want the same thing. I would want to make sure, and it's all about the pitcher. It's not about the catcher giving signs. It's about the pitcher being on board with what he's putting down. And sometimes younger pitchers see slider and they got fastball in their hand and they're like, oh man, I didn't want to throw that right here, but Yachty's saying slider, so I'm just going to throw it. Well, they talk about it all the time. You have to pitch with conviction and you have to execute. You can't do that when you're not on the same page.
3-2, backs up for a ball. Back-to-back walks to start the inning. Already 4 for Steven Strasburg. This certainly is not the start that they envisioned with Steven Strasburg. He was magnificent in inning number 2. He struck out the side. The first inning was 38 pitches, and this inning has gotten the pitch count all the way up to 63, and that's Chip Hale, who is serving as the manager tonight for Davey Martinez.
And managed himself.
That's right. Did so in Arizona.
Good guy, good baseball guy. I played against him in the minor leagues and in the big leagues. Chip Hale hit the ball that I think it was Rodney McRae ran through the fence in AAA. You've seen on every highlight in the world.
That is his, yeah, that was
Chip
him.
Hale hit the ball.
That's right.
I like Chip a lot. I try to go say hi to him. He's always been great to me ever since we were young. I'm talking like 18, 19 years old. Played in the Minnesota organization.
Strasburg 10 walks in his last 14 innings pitched. 10. Runners at first and second. Nobody out. Ozuna, 2-run homer back in the first inning. Pulled foul, and it's 0-2. That is home run number 28.
That fastball up. I would really like to see him get to 30. And I think he will.
He will.
But that's a big number, especially when you're in the 20s. Now, if you're in the 30s, you want to get to the 40s, but one thing at a time. I've really gotten to like this guy over the last year.
I'm going to use a description or a name that you use a lot for guys that you like, guys that play hard, guys that play hurt. They may not be the prettiest defensive player, let's say in this example in left field, but you know what that guy is?
Yep.
Gamer.
Yeah, he's a gamer. And you know what? He's a good teammate.
Give me that guy.
And he's, you know what? Like, we have to talk about this with Chris Duncan, and it was funny that they talked about how at his funeral, how they said how, you know, he would hit 2 home runs in a game, and all he would talk about is the ball that he dropped or the ball that he kicked or the error that he made. And that's like, not everyone's going to be that great in the outfield, but you know what? If he comes to play and he tries, it may not look like he's doing much in the outfield because it's not as easy as it looks, and he doesn't really move as well as, say, as quickly off the ball as a lot of guys would. But he can run, so he's not like I was quick but slow. He's fast but not quick, let's say. So once he's in the outfield, his twitch muscles, his quick firing muscles are not as good as other guys, and just doesn't get jumps. But I'll tell you what, being around him and knowing the love that he has for his teammates and just the player that he's become here because he struggled last year, just has been awesome to watch.
Quick story about Ozuna, talking about a gamer. I walked into the Cardinal clubhouse earlier this year. We're in Pittsburgh. It was freezing. Marcel is on the sofa, bundled up. And I said to one of our medical people, I go, well, I guess he's not going to go. And they, nope, he's got a fever. He's got the chills. And he's going to play. May not take batting practice, but
that's the way we were taught.
He will play.
Some people just have that in them, and some people don't.
And I said, boy, that says a lot about him. This person said to me, Dan, you have no idea how much this guy wants to play. We can't get him out of the lineup. I appreciate that.
There's a guy in Milwaukee that has been a really good player for a long time. Not going to mention names, you can guess. Does not want to play all the time, and it's frustrating to watch. And he's a really good player, and you want him in the lineup every day. But if there's a twinge, not interested. Doesn't want to get hurt anymore. Doesn't want to go when he's not full throttle. And it's just like we were taught when I was coming up. Your name in that lineup makes our team better. Even if you're not healthy, the pitcher thinks you are. And that's the key.
And the Cardinals have a really important and big decision concerning Marcell Ozuna, who is a free agent to be. They've got Dylan Carlson coming hard. So
charging.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in. How much you want to give Marcell, how long, and what is the gap before Carlson arrives? 1 out, 2 on. The 0-1 pitch to Paul DeYoung, and it's 0-2. Nationals coming off dropping 2 of 3 against the Braves. They're 4-7 since September 4th. Cardinals, they dropped 2 of 3 against Milwaukee, 2 of 3 against Colorado. That was their 4th straight loss in 1-run games. You know, heartbreaker yesterday, but leading here 2-0. Out of play. Strasburg, you wouldn't think, is long for this game. Pitch count at 72.
That's just a really good job by the Cardinals offense. They don't even, if they don't win this game, if they lose this game 3-2, you can go back tomorrow in the coaches meeting and they can say, stayed with the game plan and it worked. It's not like you're going to score 7 runs off this guy, but you got him out of the game. And when you face an ace, that is your objective. Can't think about beating him. You got to think about battling him and getting him out of the game. And that's another foul ball. Colton Wong had that base stolen.
2 strikes, got to protect.
Yeah, you do. It's just tough when you get such a good jump. Hoping when you're running, he's not going to throw a strike.
To the count here on Paul DeJong, who walked back in the first inning. Strasburg has struck out 6. He has walked 4. Gave up a 2-run homer to Marcell Ozuna back in the first inning. To the count. Room on the right side of the infield. Back-to-back walks. Wong, Goldschmidt. Strikeout of Ozuna. The 0-2 pitch again. He hung it and it's popped up. Halfway to St. Patrick's Day coming up. And so is Yadier Molina. That's the jersey giveaway tomorrow. Cardinals.com/theme. Halfway to St. Patty's. Basically then halfway to spring training.
Halfway through spring training being over.
Yeah. Better get your golf game in line, ball game. Taking you down next spring. I mean for lots of money. I know you can't afford it.
I have to play tomorrow, and I'm a little nervous.
Oh, stop.
I'm nervous it's going to be too hot.
That's what you're really nervous about. Molina hits it sharply on a hop to Rendon, and the Cardinals strand a pair after back-to-back walks to start the inning. We played 3. Ozuna's home run, the difference. It's 2-0. 2-0. We're in the top of the 4th, and we check in with Jim.
Strasburg, Corbin, Scherzer. That's a pretty imposing group. Tommy Edman doesn't look at it that way. Tommy told me this: I'm excited to face them. Those are the kind of pitchers we're going to see in the playoffs. It's a good challenge. Tommy says he already knew kind of what to expect. He told me, I got to face all those guys during spring training. I've gotten a few at-bats against them, so I have a general idea about what to expect. Common theme, Danny, in the Cardinal clubhouse today: you want to be the best, you got to beat the best.
Absolutely. And he finds a way, especially in those close and late situations, back into games. The only base hit allowed, a bloop hit by Rendon. That was in the first inning. And a ground ball pulled foul by Adam Eaton.
That would
Rendon
be
to follow, then Soto.
That would be why he's throwing a one-hitter, right?
Well,
just one bloop hit.
Bloop hit. Nothing else would be, yeah, one. One hit.
That's easy in my math world.
Nice
I can
work,
do that
Jimmy.
one.
Rendon popped out in foul territory first time up. Pitch in the dirt. Night in which we celebrate Mark DeJong, who's here at the ballpark. Played the big leagues a little bit. Drafted by the Mets. His debut was with the Tigers, and then started coaching in the Cardinal system all the way back in 1986. So over 40 years of coaching at the various levels of baseball, but 33 in the Cardinals system. Minor league manager, field coordinator,
bullpen coach at the major league level, bench coach at the major league level, worked under Tony La Russa, taught by the great George Kissel.
He's sweating right now because you're talking about him.
Good man. 1-2 pitch.
He's one of
get the call.
He's one of those guys I can't imagine that he's retiring. I know he's been working a long time, but
he's a fixture. You go to spring training, he's one of the first guys you see.
You know that term, right? He's a lifer.
Yeah. Here's a 2-2 pitch. Broke his bat. Ground ball hit to second. And by the way, when Mike Schilt is on the phone before and after games, it's with usually 3 different people every day. His mom, Tony La Russa, Mark DeJean. He and Mark are the closest of friends and go over situations of managing and how to deal with people and players and baseball.
You know, it's funny you say that because DJ was in the Major League clubhouse a lot during spring training. And I was always wondering what he was doing. And the couple days in a row I walked past to go in the training room, and he was in Mike's office. And I was like, ah, yeah.
Best of friends.
That's what he's doing in here.
Here's Rendon. 18 games played here. Has never hit a home run. And no, I'm not jinxing the situation.
But you said
it's called a fact.
Come on.
He's a 279 hitter at this ballpark. It's the most of any of the visiting ballparks he's been at, and it's not homered.
Do you know, I heard a story from Rick Ankiel on the plane the other day, and he said that I believe they have the same agent at Rendon and Inc., and that's Boris.
That's correct.
And when he got drafted, he told somebody high up in the front office and said, when you draft this kid, you're going to have to move Zimmerman to first. He's that good.
He's
and they were like,
good.
yeah. You know, like, Zimmerman's our guy, right? He's the face of the franchise. And as soon as he got up here, Zimmerman went to first base.
Well, now that you don't have Harper, who kind of was considered the face of the franchise, Zimmerman also a face of this team, Max Scherzer, Strasburg, but if you're the Nats, I mean, can you afford to let this guy go?
Well, nowadays, can you afford to keep him?
Fly ball into center. 2 away.
The salaries nowadays. Are you overpaying for a guy who, you know, has had one really good, I know he's better than one good year, but are you paying for a guy who, you know, he's a 292 career hitter with 135-ish home runs. OPS is high up in the mid 800s, which is really good. But he's got, what, 7 or 8 years in? So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's had great enough years to get the big money, but he's definitely timing it right.
It's not a great free agency class either. That's timing is everything with that.
Yeah, no kidding, huh?
But I also think, though, when you don't bring back Harper, you know, your fans are saying, now, wait a minute, you didn't have,
he's your #1 draft pick, too, by the way, not to mention.
It didn't come together with Harper. Now, don't let this guy go. You know, part of it, too, it's a business, and you're trying to sell tickets. You're trying to keep the franchise entertaining, and you're trying to keep your own that you drafted, as you mentioned. So they've got a tough spot coming up. Here is Juan Soto. Now, is Juan Soto looking at a deal that would be a monster deal coming up to where you buy out some of those arbitration years? And that's something that, if you're the Nationals front office, without question, you got to be thinking about that. They have also, over the years, Jimmy, deferred a lot of those big contracts for big money, like Scherzer's deal.
That's a smart thing, though, I think, even for the player. I think a lot of players, the way they spend money now, you'd be smart to be able to just kind of pocket a little bit of money in the back and know that it's going to be there.
Mike Rizzo, the general manager there on the left, many years in Arizona, now leading the Nationals, but at some point you got to pay the piper, and those come calling, and they build up. The 2-2 pitch.
I wonder if when they were deferring contracts that they ever saw it coming like this.
I don't think so with Soto.
I thought I'm saying in general, like even in my day, like if let's say we had a $100 million payroll, and they've come to players and say, hey, do you want to defer a little bit so we can sign Scott Rowland, or do we want to do this? And I said, heck yeah, like I want as many good players as we could get.
Well, I can tell you, I mean, they look at budgets and where the business is growing, business side, the industry, and there are projections 4 or 5 years out.
Yeah, but then it really exploded with TV. Who saw that 10 years ago? I don't think anyone.
That's part of their projections.
I get it, but I just don't know. You know, who would have thought that, let's just say when ESPN and Fox came out, that they were going to
back then,
turn,
for sure.
But in general, so every whatever generation has its own, like, wow, where did that come from? The stock market, up and down, like all the different things. Who could
MLB.com.
who could see it coming and turning into? So interesting you say that, because I was talking to Benji Molina today, and he was talking about how they're kind of like working their way up to getting every home game, right? And
on Spanish radio.
Yeah, on Spanish radio. And I said to him, he said, we just need to get some sponsors. And I said, Benji, you're going to get there, brother. You're going to get there, because that Spanish-speaking world is huge. And the more you guys do this, the more it's like anything, right? Like just like your website. Like the more people find out about it, the more people get interested in it. It's the same thing with them. The more people hear it, the more Latin American and Mexican American people want to listen to it in Spanish, they'll start to find it, instead of just like now, instead of going home after work and kind of be like looking at the TV and be like, if your first language is Spanish, you're going to gravitate towards them versus us. And that's why I said you're going to get where you want to get. It's going to explode. And hopefully it does, because those two guys are awesome, and especially close with Benji.
A lot of fun. Had the chance to meet Polo's family. He flew them all in for Fiesta Cardinals.
Just like he's got a TV on him.
And so they all came in and had the chance to meet Polo's family, and obviously we know the Molinas. Good people. 1 ball, 1 strike with 2 outs and a runner at first base. And a base hit into right center. Soto will head to third. Asdrubal Cabrera, the switch hitter, with a single. And the batter will be Ryan Zimmerman.
It's a good swing right here by Cabrera. He's a good hitter. That's just not where you want to throw him. Even though he's struggling a little bit, just over the course of this year, it's just still a good, hitters are hitters. Doesn't matter. They go through slumps. They have tough years. But when you throw the ball down the middle to a good hitter, he's going to hit it.
So here is Ryan Zimmerman, who basically did not even play in spring training. Wasn't hurt, just didn't play. Trying to save those bullets for the regular season. Stay as fresh as he could. He had the arm injury that forced him to move to first base, and with the addition of Rendon and his emergence, that made that decision much easier for the Washington Nationals. Heck of a player.
Still only, what, 35 years old? 34, 35? 34?
The Nationals.
Amazing. He's only 34 years old. Everyone thinks that that's kind of old, but I always think about in my years. Like I was 34 when we went to the World Series that first time, and I had the best year of my career.
Yeah. Well, this is his 15th year in the league. 270 home runs, most in franchise history, even more than Hall of Famer Vladimir Guerrero. He had 234, then left as a free agent and went to the Angels.
1,000 RBIs.
And we say he's been the face of the franchise because they moved to Washington in 2005. And they've had some good teams. Consecutive playoff appearances in 2016 and 17. Missed the playoffs last year. Right now they hold the top spot in the wild card. and they have lost in the division series in 12, 14, 16, and 17. 3 of the 4 series, 5 games, including that 2012 heartbreaker to the Cardinals, thanks to Pete Kozma.
Blast from the past.
Yep.
Your memory just all over that.
Still gets booed when we go to Washington. Pete Kozma, if we're down in the minor leagues and he's, let's say, with the Yankees, or he's down in spring training with a Florida team and the Nationals are the team that he's playing against, he still gets booed.
Pretty funny.
He had no 3-ball counts in the first 9 batters. 3-ball counts to 4 of the last 5. The 3-0 pitch. And he walked him, and they're all loaded up.
Like he's just being careful all of a sudden. That or the mechanics are just a little iffy. See a couple of those balls, he's just kind of pulling across his body to the, can't hit that outside edge anymore.
There's Victor Robles. So when you heard about the name Juan Soto, everybody said, well, yeah, I've heard about this young kid. He's going to be pretty good. There he is. But, man, you got to see this guy, Victor Robles. He was the one 2 years ago that most of baseball, in terms of the prospects with the Nationals, that they were talking about because of his speed, his defense, an exciting player. And then Juan Soto just burst onto the scene and never went back to the minor leagues. Base hit in the left. 1 run on the board. Here comes another. The throw by Ozuna to the plate, and it's in time. A strike to Yadier Molina. They get Cabrera on a strong throw. 1 hopper by Marcell Ozuna. Ozuna with an outfield assist and a 2-run homer.
You know what this is right here, Danny? This is just a team trying to take advantage of a guy who hasn't thrown that well for a while. But did you see what he just did? He charged the ball hard and he got rid of it. And he threw a good 1-hop strike. And I'll tell you what, this is one heck of a tag right here. Doing everything proper, not getting in the way of the play, gave him a little bit of a lane, unlike the other day with Dexter Fowler in, I think it was Colorado. It was interesting. I found out something about that.
It's on the infield on those kind of plays.
But the lane, but I was told that the way that they were using it so much, it was kind of like a little bit of a loophole in the rules. And
exactly.
By the way, nice throw again, Marcell. That guys were saying, hey, we want to check on the running lane. And then they were getting a free look at the play to see if he was safe or not. And they were not getting charged a timeout. You know what I'm talking about.
The challenge flag.
Challenge flag. They weren't throwing the red flag on the field out of their socks.
It's different, that lane, with a ball that's hit on the infield as opposed to what you just saw there with Marcell Ozuna and how he had time, at least Molina, to get situated on this type of play.
He did a really nice job right here. He's getting, you know what else he was doing? He's getting himself out of the way and just basically smart enough to remember, hey, the way I grew up was to block the plate, but I'm going to move myself out of the way and not be in harm's way and not take a shot to the body for no reason. And once again, Tommy Edman follows up a really tough at bat with a base hit. Makes adjustments.
Shocker, huh? 1 for 2 tonight. Our Kubota power stats, highest average at home, go back to 1963. Our colleague Tim McCarver, 367. Then DeYoung, Pendleton, Pujols, Edman. Kubota power stats. Cardinals have their first base hit since Yadi's single back in the first. Cardinals had a couple of hits in the first inning. And now it's Bader who struck out looking and looks at a fastball. Cincinnati gets on the board. It's a 3-1 game. Milwaukee leading San Diego 4-1. So the Cubs a 3-1 lead. That ball game in the 4th. Milwaukee 4-1 in the 5th against the Padres. That's 6 straight games. Tommy Edman with a base hit. Edman with 12 stolen bases at first base. Be fun to see with a full year for Tommy Edman how many steals he could get. He'd be a 25-30 stolen base guy.
Tell you what, he can run, man. He's quick.
In 2018, he had 30 steals at Memphis. That was the aspect in spring training. I thought he had the best spring of anybody. I didn't realize he could run this well until he got here.
I didn't either, because he didn't get a chance.
I was told he could run well, but we didn't see it like this.
I mean, he flies.
Yes, he does.
I was getting some of those stats where they were showing sprint speeds, and you had Tommy, O'Neill, and Bader in the top 10 in the league.
Of all the baseball, not just the National League.
And that's impressive. And you know what was even more impressive is Tyler O'Neill was in there. And I think that's just running from home to first, but still.
Leads the world in bench press as well. Runner goes. Throw to second, and there's a lucky number 13. Second stolen base for the Cardinals.
Watch this ball bounce right here. Cabrera does not want to be in there. If that ball doesn't hit Tommy, it goes into center field again.
Yeah, he's got to come up in front of the runner and get that.
Be in there.
Come on.
It's the big leagues, man.
That's what I'm trying to say here.
That frustrates me watching the little leaguers play. Like, you know, the theory, like I told the outfielders in spring training, like, you can't throw anyone out if you don't catch it first. Like, catch the ball first.
Catch it.
If you miss it, no one's out.
You got a lot of problems.
Yeah. If you fumble it against the wall, one of the drills we work on is going down after a double and going down and picking it up barehanded and throwing it in. A lot of guys will try to grab with their glove and fumble, or look up and you see the double clutch. And I'm like, pick the ball up calmly and throw the ball to the cutoff man, and your job is over. Like, make it simple. Catch the ball first.
George Kissel had a way, and when he was traveling with us late in his life under Tony La Russa, to explain the game and hard things about the game, but just simplifying it,
yeah.
Like that.
Well, that's it, though. Like, it's, you know,
pick up the ball.
I used to talk to him, Harrison and I talk all the time, and he works so hard. And I said, son, you cannot work this hard all the time. You have to dial it back. And you can't go out there for early work and throw 7 or 8, 10, 12 balls from center field at 110%. I said, 1, you're going to wear out. 2, you can't throw the ball on the money at 110%. And he was like, well, that's what I'm working on. I said, well, it's impossible because I tried it. And it's more important to throw a strike to third base than it is to overthrow a ball that you can't control. And I said, and then more importantly is, if you don't catch the ball first, you don't get to throw it. And that wasn't a message to him, but that's my message to everyone in the little league all the way up to the big leagues. If you have to catch the ball first before you do anything.
On that play there, I just wonder how close Tommy Edman was to taking a chance, maybe, and going to third base. Been very close. Rendon would have had to field it cleanly and then apply the tag. It would have been a bang-bang play. Now Dakota Hudson, and he sends one foul.
I'd like to see Dak just put the ball in play right here. Hopefully even to the right side, even just to get Tommy to third. You eliminate the breaking ball in the dirt. For Dexter, maybe a couple of change-ups here and there. Being left-handed, got to be a little bit more self-conscious if you're the pitcher. It does definitely put a little bit more pressure. Not to mention, the pitcher's staring right at you when you're at third base.
A 1 pitch, puts it in play.
There you go.
Edman to third, 2 down. Quick word from Great Southern Bank.
Watching the 2-0 while your friends go for the steal? We understand. Great Southern Bank. We're fans too.
Cardinals have 2 stolen bases tonight. That's 9 in their last 4 games.
They've attempted 4 or 5 though, and they've spoiled a couple of them. But
Good point.
the fact that they're running is getting attention. I'd really like to see this run scored, and for personal reasons, not for the run to go up on the board, so you can literally teach the game of how important it is to have a decent at bat and just moving runners around and keep him. So now you go to your pitching staff and say, look how important this run was. So it's not going to happen, but it still is a great teaching tool.
Fowler grounds out. He's over 2 with a walk and a run scored. We move to the 5th, game 1 of this 3-game series.
Humana prevent defense. Dakota Hudson gets a lot of ground balls. Paul Goldschmidt.
.996 fielding percentage to lead all first basemen. That doesn't tell the full story, though, of his impact defensively for the Cardinals. And tonight, 8 ground ball outs with Hudson on the mound. It's 2-1.
He could not catch a ground ball all year, and your team's better.
Absolutely. I was talking with John Mozeliak today, and I asked him, I said, how would you, just look at the full body of work of Paul Goldschmidt? And he said, I think it's only going to get better and better. First year, new city, new team. And I'd mentioned, he gets to 30 home runs. Maybe gets to 100 runs batted in. He said, you just cannot underscore the value of what he has brought to our team. A couple things. Defensively, that don't show up all the time. Base running. And then thirdly, he said, was his leadership inside the clubhouse.
And it was instant. I mean, I was sitting in a meeting and on the field, and he was talking about, hey, this is what we did in Arizona, and they proved that it was better. And he said something about base running, and I never even thought about it. And he just was like right to a technique, and I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive for only being here like 4 or 5 days.
What was it, Kitty?
It was just about, I think it was, we were taught to, when we ran the bases, to hit the inside of the bag, and a lot of times with your left foot.
Into shallow right for a base hit off the bat of Jan Gomes.
And then a lot of times, nice play right there. See that?
Through behind him with Yachty sneaking in.
And we were taught to usually hit it with your left foot on the inside part of your foot. As you take a look at Dexter and Yachty working here together, just taking a chance that he might be sneaking off the bag. But whatever's comfortable, but they wanted you to hit it with your left foot. And they were talking about how they proved that if you hit it with your right foot, you're cutting down a half a step. And I was just kind of like floating in and out of the conversation, but then I was like starting to listen to the explanation. I'm like, wow, that makes sense. But I guess maybe I'm too old school because I couldn't hit it with my right foot if I tried, because I'm programmed.
So you'd always hit it on the inside portion with your left foot,
like the inside of your instep with your left foot, and really just drive, have that kind of hit at an angle and drive around the bag. And they were talking about how pushing off, and instead of taking that extra step around the bag, you're actually cutting an angle better.
He told me it forces your body
to turn the corner.
Exactly. Strasburg swinging, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Both corners charging.
I mean, I think that, one of those things is that talking about base running again, like I just feel like it's like anything bunting, teaching people how to redo things is tough, and you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And, I think when Tommy Edman was running around the bag, he hit it with his left foot. So it's just, it's been ingrained in all of us differently. It's funny how we've grown up and learned certain things certain ways.
And there it is with Tommy Edman stepping with that left foot, and it forces the body to turn.
And that's not so much as pronounced as obviously trying to go first to third or going for a doubles. That's when they were talking about it. But even just getting in the habit
2-2 the count. Steven Strasburg at the plate. And the runner at first base gets the bunt down. Goldschmidt backhands, and he'll get the sure out. Sacrifice is good. The 5th of the year for Steven Strasburg. Pujols Family Foundation and Cardinals Care, they have teamed up. That'll be Saturday, November 9th, right here at Busch Stadium. STLHomeRunDerby.com. Had the privilege to MC our annual grant ceremony today for Cardinals Care. $185,000 distributed to many nonprofits that help out kids in our area. Michael Hall and John Mozeliak there. Since its inception, $24 million handed out by Cardinals Care. So congratulations to all, and always a privilege to be there. The ball on the outside corner. Top of the lineup in Trey Turner, who is grounded to third and also grounded out to first. 0 for 2. 2-1 our score. If you just joined us, home run hit by Marcell Ozuna back in the first. A 2-run shot is 28th. And Victor Robles, a 2-out single to bring in a run in the 4th. The 1-0.
Two-0 pitch. Off the plate, 3-0. Adam Eaton on deck. Well, Hudson was cruising in this game. He got the first 2 outs in the 4th, and a walk, a single, a walk, base hit. It brought in a run, and then an outfield assist to end the inning. This inning begins with a bloop single to right, the sacrifice, and now 3-0. Swinging on 3-0 and a fly ball into shallow right center. Bader calling off Fowler to make the catch. We saw a little problem with that yesterday.
Yeah, I was wondering what happened. I even texted you guys yesterday. I could kind of tell just from playing in this ballpark that that was maybe a sun ball that Harrison wasn't able to call, and then just kind of putting 2 and 2 together with listening to the conversation, hearing Dexter call it late, that almost seemed like the ball just kind of got in the air. And he wasn't really sure, so Dexter called him off. But in his brain, he's still thinking he's a center fielder. And I don't know what I would love. I should have called him last night, and it just got busy with the kids. But I would love to hear what really happened there, because him and Willie were kind of going at it a little bit, and Willie was being very direct. And so, you know, it basically what he's teaching is it doesn't matter. Like, you have to do it this way. And so that's why I was curious to see what really happened. Sometimes there is no excuse, right? And that's what the excuse would be, is, oh, the ball got in the sun. And if I was the coach, and I would say, well, the sun's been up there for a while, so you need to make sure the right fielder knows, and then just make him go get that ball. And what that means is, hey, Dexter, right now, you know, you're yelling, obviously. This inning, the ball's still in the sun in right center. And so as soon as that ball goes up, you're screaming, take it, or Dexter, Dexter. There's no like, oh my gosh, what should I do here? And then if it pops out of the sun, then you call him off.
Ground ball slowly hit. Right through. Bottom of 5 rolls in when we come back. It's a 2-1 ball game.
Today in Cardinals history, as always, it's brought to you by Lou Fuse. Jim Bottomley, 6 for 6, couple of home runs, drives in 12. September 16th, 1924. This date in Cardinals history, as always, it's brought to you by the good folks at Lou Fuse. It was Jim Bottomley, and then a guy named Mark Whitten drove in 12 in one game. Mark just happened to do it with 4 bombs.
A couple wall scrapers and a bomb.
Wow. In Cincinnati.
4 homers. That's insane.
Good folks from Enterprise, based right here in St. Louis, Enterprise Holdings. They have flown in all their top folks. They've got a golf tournament tomorrow, and always want to point out the wonderful work that Enterprise has done for so many here in St. Louis. Fleet of over 1.2 million cars. And believe me, they could take their business anywhere, but they've decided to stay right here in St. Louis, invest in our community. That's clearly evident with what they've done with MLS, brought that to town. Carolyn Kendall Betts, Jim Cavanaugh, and Tom Strunk of Worldwide Technology, the Taylor family. I mean, they have done so much here in St. Louis. So anytime I get the chance to say thank you to those at Enterprise, I do. Thank you very much. A strike to Colton Wong, and it's 1-2. It's Wong, Goldschmidt, and Ozuna against Steven Strasburg. The pitch count is at 91. Colton Wong walked, stole his 23rd base, back in the third. The 1-2 pitch off the plate, and it's 2-2. Tanner Rainey, right-hander, getting loose in the pen for Washington. They have 2 lefties, 10 right-handers to choose from. 2-2 put in play. That's your third baseman, Rendon. Paul Goldschmidt has struck out, and also he walked. Sam Holbrook, the crew chief, Jim Wolf, John Tumpain, Manny Gonzalez. You know who could not have been any nicer at Whitey Herzog's event last night and funny? Joe West.
Oh, yeah. The singing cowboy.
I was emceeing Whitey's golf tournament last night. I said, let's make sure Joe feels at home and give him a standing boo.
He was at Mike Shannon's birthday party, too.
He was funny last night. Great event. A lot of money raised. 0-2 the count on Goldschmidt.
Take a look at Goldie's hands we were talking about earlier. So he's just in a resting position right here. And you can see it gets up and ready to hit.
And he lines it into center. Robles is there.
He gets it up and ready to hit on time. No matter how you start, how you get it through the zone. It's a good shot right here. Just trying to get a rhythm, get relaxed. And then right about now he gets ready, and then right there, that's where you want to be. That's a really good shot right there, because you can see how, what's really funny is you can't see it from the front, but how straight up the bat gets right before he starts the swing. So that just goes to show you, it doesn't matter where you are before. You could be resting or upside down, and Albert looks like he's uncomfortable at times, but yet when they're ready to hit, the bat gets right in the ready position and go.
Marcell Ozuna. This might be just a 5-inning start for Strasburg. Pitch count at 97. We'll see. Cardinals have been out hit 4-3 in this game, but they lead it 2-1. First inning, Marcell Ozuna took him deep.
They dropped down the exit velocity a little bit, I think. It took a mile an hour off.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Didn't take any feet off of it, but dropped it down to 105. Maybe it was at 105 point something.
Ground ball. Rendon settles. And a strike over to Zimmerman. We head to the 6th inning. Rendon, Soto, Cabrera coming up.
Rendon to lead it off. We're in the top of the 6th in a 2-1 game. Madison County recently retired Sheriff Jack Fields celebrating his 75th birthday here at the ballpark. Happy birthday. That's it out of play, and away we go here in the 6th inning. This is a big inning for the Cardinals and Dakota Hudson. His pitch count at 77. And it's 3, 4, and 5 for the Nationals. 0-2. So the MVP race, Bellinger, the injured Yelich, and you have to look at Anthony Rendon and look at all the different categories that Rendon is either at the top of that list or in the top 2 or 3. Many of them.
You know what I think that really stinks is, I mean, Christian Yelich can still probably be at the top of that list, even if I don't think his numbers, his RBIs are going to help, but he's got no chance of winning that now. And that stinks for him.
Got a chance, though, a real good shot, I would imagine, at the batting title, posted a 329. Coming into play, Rendon leading the league at 332. Then Yelich 329. Marte 327. 118 RBIs. That's 1 ahead of Freddie Freeman, 2 ahead of Josh Bell. And he unloads deep left and gone. Anthony Rendon with home run number 34. He now has driven in 119. He has matched Juan Soto for the team lead. Brand new game tied at 2.
Just a sinker that doesn't get all the way in, but you know what? It's not a bad pitch. This is just a good job of hitting. Looking for a sinker, got it. Ball stayed on the plate. Got the head out. You know what good hitters do? What they do. They hit all kinds of pitches. He smashed that one.
Here's Juan Soto. Reds have come back with a run. It's now 3-2 in their game. Milwaukee has added to their lead 5-1. Just the 3rd home run allowed by Hudson in his last 9 starts. 0-1 pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike on Juan Soto, who is grounded out to short and walked and scored in the 4th. In the air, center field. Bader under it, and that's the first out here in the top half of the 6th.
Tell you what, that's a pretty good 3-4 punch right there. Right, left, too.
Absolutely.
Especially, you know what's really funny is if you don't think about this very often, but as a right-hander on the mound, and you give up a home run to the righty, and then here comes Juan Soto, the lefty, and you're going, oh man, like, don't make a mistake to this guy either. It's not like, you know, righty, 2 good hitters, especially if the first guy does damage. That's got to go through your mind.
Here's Cabrera and an
off-speed pitch for a strike. He is grounded out and also singled to center. And that's hit in the air to deep right. Going back. Fowler. And he's got enough room. As Cabrera gave it a ride. Cardinals vacations right around the corner. 2020 spring training will be here. 1-800-892-7687. 1-800-892-7687. Tickets. Special parties there. Cardinals.com/vacations. So 2 outs, and the batter will be Ryan Zimmerman, who is grounded out to short and also walked. Rainey continues to throw in the bullpen for the Nationals, and that's taken for a ball. 1-1. Zimmerman, the ground out to short, and that was hard hit. Then the walk was a really good at bat.
You can't tell me shit like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. As the game progresses, the hitters start to bear down a little bit. You miss it, you get a little tired, so you miss a couple pitches, and they're on more pitches. So that's where the mind game has to come into play, and that's when your location execution has to come into play.
Home run by Rendon. We're tied at 2. Take a look at our What's on Tap, and it's Miles Michaelis going tomorrow here at Busch Stadium. A reminder, we're on the air with our first pitch at 6:45. So what does that mean for you? Baseball beginning at 6 with our pregame show. Budweiser, What's on Tap? Miles Michaelis getting to start for St. Louis. Patrick Corbin, a left-hander, 12-7, will go for the Nationals. It'll be DeYoung, Molina, and Tommy Edman for St. Louis. We're tied at 2. Tanner Rainey is the new pitcher for the Washington Nationals. He's a hard thrower acquired by Washington in exchange for Tanner Roark back in December. Opponents only hitting .199 against him. Our Chevy called to the pen. Right-handers hitting only .149 against him. DeYoung has walked and also popped out with 2 runners on, and a fastball in there at 97. Very similar pitch that you talked about with Bader earlier, and not going after that pitch. I mean, that is a hard pitch to put in play and do any kind of damage with.
If you start panicking over that pitch, you lose everything. You lose all this. You start to swing at stuff like that, and you've seen it. And everybody says, how does he swing at that pitch in the dirt like that? And that's exactly how. You start to think about that fastball inside, and you have to speed up to catch up to it.
And then you just literally blank and start swinging.
There's a 1-2 pitch and a breaking ball. He's still alive. DeYoung with 27 home runs, Ozuna with 28, and Goldschmidt with 31.
I love when you start to see these guys come out of the bullpen that throw hard, and they throw their changeups. Their average changeup 90-91. Yeah. That was the average fastball when I played.
There's a good fastball there at 97.
That's a good short arm fastball right there too.
Well, you remember it quite well. We were talking about stances earlier in the ball game. When Yadier Molina first came up, he was kind of the man with 1,000 stances. And now, when you watch Yadi, your former teammate Jimmy, it's a guy that you see that is so relaxed at the plate, and for the most part has not changed his stance. What you see is what you get.
Yeah, and the hands have changed a little bit. But you know what I think for Yadi has really changed is he knows, and this is what you learn as you get a little bit older, he knows who he can take advantage of, and he knows who he needs to kind of protect against, right? You see guys that when he shoots the ball through the hole, it's usually a guy that throws the ball to the outside part of the plate against him consistently, or in the situation calls for it, but he knows that he can do it against a certain guy. If you see him start to swing, it's a guy with a straight fastball. And then if you see him kind of just like the 0-2 changeup that he got earlier that he just hit a base hit on, you see right there, he knows he can be aggressive. He's going to get a fastball. He hit that changeup earlier in his first at bat, and really he's just basically trying to hit the ball up the middle and doesn't really know what he's going to get, but he stays back and he takes a swing. Right there, he's thinking fastball, and he takes a chance at it.
How about his hands? You know, when you watch his hands too, he's about as relaxed.
Super relaxed, yeah.
As any other
Quite
player.
the opposite of my golf swing, wouldn't you say?
Well, you're a little tight with the golf swing. I will admit that.
Like I get my grips are kind of like just like finger marks, like the tool, like the instruction grip. But he's just trying to relax. He's just trying to stay simple. I think sometimes guys that hit like this, Edgar Martinez was like this, you get more buggy whip, more bat speed.
Oh, what a play. Rendon down at third.
Robbed a couple times this week. How about that ball he hit in the corner yesterday? He's so frustrated he threw his bat straight up in the air. When he hit that ball, I was sitting downstairs and I thought, oh, this is a hit for sure. That's all you can do. Hit the ball in the nose.
Great play.
Twice in 2 days.
You know, it's great having you in the booth, a guy that almost hit 400 home runs. You're on the outside looking into the Hall of Fame, but your numbers are right there with some of the Hall of Famers. So we'd like to go inside the game with Jim Edmonds here, and we're getting into some of the stances, and I find it always almost humorous where you go to a Little League game and the coach is, get your elbow up.
Yeah, get your elbow up.
Oh, my goodness. If I got to hear that one more time, I'm going to scream.
I don't even know what that means anymore.
Some guys will do it. I mean, Tommy Edman, there's a hard hit ball off the glove of Turner in his second hit.
Watch this. Oop. I thought he was going to make a turn for it. Man, this kid plays hard. It's almost like, you know, when you watch the game long enough and you're like, first at bat, strikeout, and it's like it looks terrible, and you're like, oh, he's going to be overmatched.
Yes.
And then you're in the 7th inning, the 6th inning, and Tommy Edman's 2 for 3. Like, how does that happen? He just figures a way.
How level he is there, too.
Well, and that's the thing. You know what he does really well is that's the thing that Colton Wong has learned is he knows how to shorten up right away. And that was that hard thing talk that we had. I had a good talk with him one day just in the middle of the game about how he was getting kind of blown away during a game. And I said, hey, you got to go up there and take a 2-strike approach, pitch 1. And if you get a fastball down the middle, all you're trying to do is just hit a base hit. This isn't the guy that you try to lean on. This is the guy you try to survive against.
That was Kyle Hendricks, who had a great changeup going that night.
You couldn't see it. You're right. You couldn't see it. But that's what I mean. You get one pitch to hit. And if you can't figure out where that pitch is, or if you miss the one pitch, you got no chance. And so I was basically like, hey, slow everything down and just look for the rhythm of one pitch. And he ended up hitting a line drive. And he was like, wow, I can't believe that worked. I was like, I wouldn't have told you if I didn't believe in it. I don't want to have my butt on the line for telling you something.
This is always interesting what you do if you're the manager in this spot. Is, you know, if you
put your foot
start
on the gas pedal.
Well, if you start Edman, then first base open, you walk Bader, then you get Hudson out of the game. Do you want to deal with their bullpen, or do you want Hudson for one more inning? That right now is Chip Hale's dilemma.
Well, it's both dilemmas, right? If you think about it, both managers are playing a game of chess right now. And you know what? I think I pressed the issue if I'm Mike Schilt.
Why not?
Well, I love, and this is what I love about like growing up in the Angels organization. Joe Madden used to always say, load them up and see what happens. However you can get the bases loaded, do it and see what happens. So force the issue. Unless you just flat out don't want your pitcher to hit in a certain situation, which, I mean, yeah, I get it, but the chances of him hitting are better with a guy on second than a guy on first, you know, or nobody on at all. And then if you decide that you're going to pinch hit from him, you got one of the best bullpens in all of baseball to lean on. And yesterday was a fluke, and you go throw them all back in the game. Go right back after it. If you want to be a championship team, you're going to have to win games after big losses.
Ball gets away, and now Edman on his way to second base. In there safely. Should be an error on Zimmerman, which will be his third. And now this is that decision time. Do you feel comfortable enough with your pitcher dealing with Bader, or do you just put him on and then force the issue for Mike Schilt? He may have been picked off too. If that's,
I thought that was going to be close. I mean, the acceleration is ridiculous. I'm going to buy him a one-way trip to Tahiti for like 2 weeks to just go rest his legs. Just go lay on a beach and don't move. Get ready for next year.
Jimmy, I don't know if you knew this. I'm kind of tired too.
I'll take you with me. I want to go.
Good.
Went to Bora Bora a couple years ago with my wife, and I've been trying to figure out how to get back ever since.
0-2 here on Harrison Bader after the error on Ryan Zimmerman. The pickoff. Let's see if Bader can't come through. No, he can't. A swing and a miss. Struck him out, went right at him. Cardinals have struck out 8 times tonight. Edman left stranded. Seventh, and we check in with Jim.
Paul DeYoung destroyed the M in the Big Mac Land sign. Not sure where it is, but Paul is purchasing the M with a $22,000 donation to the Ronald McDonald House and Cardinals Care. Paul told me, I figured it was my 22nd homer of the year, so $22,000 seemed like a good number. Those two groups do so much good in the community. It was my pleasure to do it. Dan, nice move by Paul DeYoung.
Love it. Good stuff. I've had long conversations with Paul, and he's such a smart guy. I mean, very cerebral, very bright. As we all know, well educated.
You guys were taking long walks on the beach and talking?
With our poodles. Out to center, and Robles lines out to Bader. But one of the things he said is, and I found this incredibly interesting from a young player. He said, he goes, Dan, I'm not just saying this. He said, the shelf life of a major league player is so small, and I get it. And I want to make an impact. I really want to be an impactful member of the community. I'm still trying to figure out exactly where that is, where my best interests lie.
That's a hard thing to do.
He said, you know, you get tugged at a lot of things, and I do want to help as many people as I can. But when it's all said and done, I want to make an impact and be an impactful member of the St. Louis community more than just being their shortstop. And, you know, for a young guy, you don't hear that very often.
No, and it is tough to make a decision right away, too. And I think when you're smart and you're paying attention, you see how guys like myself and Willie and all the guys come back, and the ovations and the respect that the fans have for everyone that's played here. And you start to see the guys' eyes open up and say, hey, I want to be like that someday.
Absolutely.
And I want to do everything it takes to, not only on the field, but off the field, to get that way.
There's a ground ball taken there by Edman off the bat of Gomes. 2 down.
Yeah, if you don't think the Red Jackets and the Hall of Fame and opening day, it doesn't mean anything to the players of now, you're sorely mistaken. Those guys walk away and they're blown away and say, that is motivation. I want to be one of those guys. I want it to happen for me.
It's another one of those things, like I said, when I was a kid watching Major League Baseball, I thought those were gods. And then when I got here, I saw those guys that are all Hall of Famers, and I thought, man, that would be cool. But those guys are special. They're different.
There's Parra pinch hitting for Rainey.
You know, you always talk about how when we talk baseball that, and I think sometimes you're just saying it to be nice, but how we, you know, that I'm teaching you, you're teaching me.
You're a baseball savant. I mean that.
How I got that way and how my career got to where it got would have never, ever gotten as far as I did if it wasn't for Eduardo Perez. Never even close. He taught me so much.
Well, too bad he's not a nice person, though.
Yeah, he's a bad guy.
You know.
But his dad
going.
taught him so much, and he literally sat me down in AA and AAA and just taught me thing after thing after thing. And then we got to the big leagues together, and then we played here together. I mean, he was just like, he was my lifeboat. I mean, it was unbelievable. This guy just taught me so much, how to read pitches, how to be a big leaguer, how to do this, how to do that. And just having a friend like that we developed into like a great friendship. I would do anything for that guy. And I said, earlier in my career, I said if I would ever manage, he would be the first one I'd call because of his knowledge. But I don't know if I could ever thank him enough, to be honest with you, and let him know that he was the reason why I got to play 17 years, and there's no one else out there that I could ever say that about.
Well put. 8-pitch inning for Hudson. 6 in a row retired after the Rendon home run. It's time to stretch here at Busch in Game 1. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals have been out hit 5-4 and we're tied. It's 2-2. The Ozuna home run early, a 2-run shot. And the Nationals have come back with 2 of their own. Sean Doolittle, the lefty. They have 2 lefties in their pen. Jose Martinez will pinch hit for Dakota Hudson. Honda home run inning. Cardinals hit a home run. The Gateway Honda dealers will donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Missouri. We had 2 of those hit in the 7th yesterday. First pitch swung on and missed by Martinez. We're underway in the home half of the 7th. 3-2, Chicago leading Cincinnati. It's in the bottom of 5. Milwaukee 5-1 on top of San Diego in the bottom of the 8th. Here's the 0-1 pitch. 0-2. Doolittle, relief of Rainey, a scoreless 6th. And Martinez strikes out. Dexter Fowler, the top of the Cardinal lineup. Boy, I'll tell you what, Martinez just has not looked comfortable in his last handful of plate appearances.
He hasn't played in a while, too, and it's been like a, I think you start to get to that point where you're starting to press a little bit, and your at-bats are really counting, and you're not getting a second at-bat during the day, so I think that's tough. It's a tough way. It's a tough way to make a living being a pinch hitter.
Cardinals have struck out tonight collectively against Strasburg, Rainey, Doolittle 9 times. Dakota Hudson, 7 innings tonight for St. Louis.
2 runs. Only 1 strikeout, couple of walks, and one of those walks came around to score. 2-0 pitch. Out of play. So it's now up to the bullpens in this all-important game. After tonight, 12 to go. There are times, Jimmy, when you watch a pitcher, just even when he comes set, you can pick up whether or not a guy is throwing changeup, fastball, curve, those kind of things.
That's the stuff that I learned from Mr. Perez, and you talk about being a savant. That's the guy where I learned it from. And I just remember sitting in the dugout in AAA, and he was like, I can't believe you can't see that. I mean, it's right there in front of you. What are you looking at? Look at his glove. And I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. But that's kind of how I feel trying to teach some of these kids in the dugout now. I'm like, what do you mean you can't see that? You just watch and you pay attention, and you finally see something different. Different rhythm, different set point. Gloves farther away from the body. Comes up higher when he gets the ball in the glove. Sometimes guys will come set at the belt and they'll just be above the belt, and it's amazing. If you just pay attention and you just file it in your memory banks, and then you'll see something different. Good at bat
just
right
a bit
there.
Outside, and so another walk.
Man, he's done a nice job lately with those walks.
Fowler is second tonight.
A lot of pitches.
Second baseman.
He's taking a lot of good pitches, a lot of good swings.
It was an issue for Strasburg in his start. Only 5 innings, 6 strikeouts, but walked 4. Cardinals have received 5 in this game. Since Fowler took over in the leadoff role, all those walks are piling up, and it's now well over a month. August 8th, he moved into the leadoff spot for good. On base percentage, .393.
Isn't that amazing? All of a sudden now he's got the on base percentage. It's almost like you put a big guy in the leadoff role and all of a sudden they're pitching around him. No, he's just taking better at bats. And he's also, maybe he's more comfortable. Maybe he has really kind of simplified his approach to having a good at bat versus trying to drive guys in or trying to do this. Who knows? But something's working.
Nationals have not had a save
since the 16th of August. And Doolittle got that save. And that was against Milwaukee. We're playing here on September 16th. Nothing in 2, the count on Colton Wong. 0 for 2 with a walk and a stolen base, his 23rd of the year. Our crowd tonight, big one on a Monday night, 42,812, 42812. The Cardinals, by the way, in tickets sold are going to be just shy of 3.5 million.
I thought you were going to say 3 million. I was like, no way.
Incredible. Fouled back, and it's about 75,000 to 100,000 more than what they sold a year ago. So thank you to the fans.
And we went through a first half of what's wrong with this team.
500.
Isn't it funny? 2 weeks into the season, and everyone's like, well, are they going to win the World Series this year? Are they going to make the playoffs? What's wrong with this team? I'm like, wait a second.
Well, the first month they were very good.
6 more months to play.
Runner goes, good jump and out of play. Fowler would have had that stolen easily too.
Another good at bat by Colton Wong. You can see he's stayed on a couple of fastballs, fouled off a slider. Keep buying yourself a pitch here and there, and you're hoping that you're going to work your way through and get a pitch to handle.
Nothing in 2, the count on Wong. We're tied 2-2. Fowler, the runner at first base, and a check on him. It's different when you steal against a lefty or righty, but your read on a lefty,
a little bit tougher.
Yeah. Unless
you just have lefties that just have a look to them that when their leg comes up, it crosses over, and that's when you go. But it's definitely a later read. You know, you're not getting the jump as soon as the heel comes up.
Doolittle, a former closer that earned his second career All-Star selection in 2018 and in his second full season with the Nationals. And he is one of the rare lefties that throws a split-fingered fastball. There aren't many lefties that throw that pitch. It seems to be primarily right-handers.
I don't feel like he throws it a whole lot, though, but he has it.
He's only thrown it about 6-7% of the time, but
mostly to righties, I'm sure.
It is to show it, but he's got it. He throws that four-seamer about 90% of the time.
It's thrown over right here. Nope. Good at bat, Colton. Keep hanging in there. Making him work.
Doolittle tied for 6th in the National League. Career high 28 saves. Returned from the IL back on the 1st of this month. 5 games and a 0 ERA. Opponents only hitting .071 against him since he came back. Good at bat here, battling. Inning started with a strikeout of Jose Martinez. Fowler, the switch hitter, drew the walk, and now Wong. Good battle here. This will be the 9th pitch coming up. He has fouled off 6 straight.
I'll tell you what, just watching this kid, it's almost like he's getting a charge out of getting better. Just when I pumped him up. But you can see it in his face now. He's just like, I'm gonna stay here as long as I want. Like, I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna foul this ball off. I'm gonna battle. He didn't see that early in his career.
Chip Hale will go to his bullpen again. Goldschmidt coming up. Hunter Strickland coming on. A hard-throwing right-hander. Pennant race tied 2-2 late. Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Wherever legendary MLB moments happen, Budweiser will be there. By Seidman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer.
And by Ford, the official car and truck of the Cardinals. Strickland into the ball game with a runner at first base and 2 down. Hunter Strickland, acquired by Washington. He has been with Seattle and San Francisco, came over from the Mariners. Parts of 6 major league seasons.
Have a good arm, too.
Big arm.
Just another guy coming out of the bullpen throwing 95 to 97.
And a fastball at 98 taken for a ball.
A little extra effort. It's like a little cutter, too. It throws across his body a little bit. It's almost like looks like he's stepping at you, but then the arm cuts across. Got to really stay on the ball in the outer half.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. One ball, 1 strike. I think Goldschmidt may have missed that pitch. That was it.
May want that one back.
Even his reaction.
Swing. That's as good of a swing as he's taken on a fastball in a while. Like all the way through and the finish and everything.
Go ahead run. Good speed at first with Fowler. 1 ball, 1 strike on Paul Goldschmidt. Fowler is running. Pitch taken for a ball, and Fowler is in there. Cardinals have another stolen base. Dexter Fowler, his 8th of the year, and that is 4 tonight for St. Louis.
Still hate to see those guys slide head first. Another good jump. Another great job. Made a great read. We're two foul balls away from having 5 or 6 stolen bases.
Now, if you're Paul Goldschmidt, Jimmy, what's your mindset? It's 2-1, first base open. Are you thinking, are they going to pitch to me? Am I going to see anything? Or are they going to deal with Ozuna?
I think, yeah. You know what? I don't know if I want to put anyone else on base right here. I think that you're going to be careful and you're going to look out over the plate. But and here's the other thing. You know, if you faced him a few times, how he's going to try and get you out.
Yeah.
And if he's a guy that can't get you out, then you probably think he's going to walk you. If he's had success, then he's going to do stuff like that, right? He's going to try and come at you, but with a certain pitch. The thing about Paul Goldschmidt is, on every given day, you never know what you're going to get with him as far as the opposing pitcher. And you can strike him out a couple times on pitches right there to hit, and then one day, boom. And that's the difference between the really good players, the power hitters, and the good players versus just the guys that are kind of, not great players. Is, okay, I can get this guy out. Or I know I've heard pitchers say, I know I can get this guy out. But the next guy I got to worry about.
Sure.
And he's the guy you got to worry about. And so is the guy on deck. And that's why you got to be careful.
2-2, fouled back in a good rip, 96 on the gun.
Man, I think when you throw 96 to 98, I think you kind of go at these guys with, this is where I'm going to try and locate it. And if I throw it where I'm supposed to, I'm going to get my out.
I think that's why last night or yesterday afternoon with Braun's home run, you get frustrated. He got beat on a secondary pitch.
Well, I don't think that he got beat on a secondary pitch was
Junior
the
Fernandez.
key. The fact that what I watched from TV was he threw like 3 or 4 breaking balls in a row. And the pitch before Braun sat on and his eyes lit up. And I said, uh-oh. I told my son, if he throws him another slider, he's going to hit a grand slam right here. And my son was like, no way. And he said to me, how did you know that? You could just see it happening. You could see the changeup, and then you saw the slider. And I was thinking to myself, I'm thinking to myself, you got 98 in your arm, unless if he's not feeling it that day, which is different. Or if they're working on, if they're like, oh, he's hitting fastballs better this week, or they didn't want to get him to drive a ball in the right center field gap. And I said, Landon, oh my gosh, if he throws him a slider, I guarantee he hits a grand slam. And I was just saying, like, that's just a bad pitch right now.
Yeah.
And he hung it, which didn't help. But that's just the thing you see when you play. I was telling that to FP Santangelo tonight. I was like, he said, what a heartbreaker last night. I was like, yeah, it's unfortunate, but you kind of see it coming. But it wasn't Junior's fault. It was just a bad inning. You know, if they score 2 runs, that's a bad inning.
Well, if the simplest
walks,
form was the 3 walks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But to me, and I'm not second guessing, because I love these guys with everything I got. If he throws a 96 to 98 mile an hour fastball and he just misses down the middle and he hits a home run, I'm like,
tip your cap.
Tip your hat.
Yep.
But the first thing that FP Santangelo said today was he's got a slider speed bat now, and I was like, exactly what I was thinking. But you know, if you make a good pitch with that slider execution, as Karp always says, then you get your out.
It's a good at bat there by Goldschmidt. Laid off the off-speed pitch. 2 outs, 2 on, and Marcell Ozuna coming up. Ozuna has hit a 2-run homer and also an outfield assist tonight.
Look at this right here. Watching that slider all the way through.
He's pulling off that pitch a lot earlier this year.
I think those 2 home runs the other day helped him really get some confidence back. Yeah.
Yep. So runners at first and second. Ozuna, the 2-run homer, was called out on strikes in the 3rd and grounded out to 3rd.
It's amazing what those homers to right center can do for you as a right-handed hitter.
There's a ball, gets away. Runners advancing to 2nd and 3rd.
And that is why I always say you push on the gas pedal. You get to 3rd base in case that happens. You don't want to run into outs, but anytime you can get 90 feet away, you're that much closer to scoring.
So the wild pitch. Runners advance.
Now what do you got? You got a guy on the mound who's like going, oh no. And you got a guy at the plate that's saying he doesn't have any command of that pitch now. So you got 2 guys in between to a dangerous hitter. And you know what? Everybody on the field is thinking he's 1 wild pitch away from losing this game. And guess who else is thinking that?
The Nationals,
their pitching coach.
Nobody up in their pen, so this is all on Hunter Strickland right now with runners at 2nd and 3rd. Goldschmidt over to talk to Pop Warner, the 3rd base coach. Reminder, StubHub, great place to get your seats, home or road, even after that first pitch has been delivered. StubHub, official partner of the Cardinals. One ball, no strikes. The Nationals will have the top of their lineup coming up in the 8th. Ozuna trying to put the Cardinals back on top. The 1-0. Cardinals tonight 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. They have left 6 on.
Tell you what, that's a pretty good pitch right there, and I'm wondering if the pitching coach goes out there and says, hey, don't worry about that pass ball, just go out there and throw another one. He's not going to be looking for it, clearly. I'd have bet $1 million he was going to throw a fastball in that situation, and so was Ozuna. That's the thing, these guys are so good, though. Even though there's doubt in their mind, they're still going to try and throw the pitch because they've done it 1,000,000 times.
Cardinals were 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position Saturday and Sunday against Milwaukee. 1 for 10 tonight. Ozuna trying to change it. The 2-1. Ozuna. Fair! It's fair! Into the seats. And with that, 2 runs will score. And for the 2nd time tonight, Marcell puts the Birds on top.
Another reason you like to see him push on the gas. Difference between being at first and second and third is a run right now. Guy on first base does not score on this ground rule double. Great job by Marcel.
All the runs for St. Louis have scored with 2 outs tonight, and all from Marcell Ozuna.
Wonder what he's on pace for now.
And now he's driven in 86 for the year.
Is he on pace for 102.6?
That's it, Jimmy.
We only get those true stats at home.
Mitch Smith helping us out. Dakota Hudson loving it. He's got a chance to be a winner tonight.
Good timing.
You bet. Here's DeYoung. He is 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. And the 2 walks late in this game coming back on Washington. Man, it's so cliche, but boys, it's so true at this level. Walks, errors, misplays. These guys make you pay.
It's amazing. I don't know how it is, why it is.
It's unbelievable.
It happens. I mean, just look at yesterday's game. 3 walks and a homer. It's like I said, you could see it coming. It didn't matter who was on the mound.
DeYoung, ground ball to short, taken there by Turner. Marcell Ozuna drives in 2. Cardinals go back on top. 4-2 St. Louis lead. Four to 2, 5 hits aside, but a story in this game. The Nationals have walked 6, and 3 of the 6 have come around to score. And Marcell has driven in all 4 for St. Louis with 2 outs. BJC Healthcare difference maker, and it is tonight's Cardinal starter, Dakota Hudson. 7 innings, the 5 hits, couple of runs, both were earned, walked 2, and struck out 1. 96 pitches tonight for Dakota Hudson. He is in line for the win if the Cardinals can hold on. He is not going to win the Rookie of the Year, but he should be in the conversation at least when people talk about top rookies in baseball.
Well, he's definitely closed in on that conversation for sure.
Pete Alonso would have to be the favorite for NL Rookie of the Year. Mike Soroka came in with the lowest ERA among rookies, but you'd have to say that Hudson will be a finalist for the award. Ground ball taken there by Wong. 1 away. Trey Turner is hitless tonight. Hyundai pitch arsenal on John Brebbia. The fastball, slider, and change.
I like the 1% changeup.
Dakota Hudson has a chance to go to 6-1 with an ERA under 2 in his last 7 starts. So that'll be it for Brebbia. He gets his man, and with Adam Eaton coming up, Cardinals go to the lefty. "15 years of Yachty" on the cover of the Cardinals yearbook. You can order it cardinals.com/yearbook or call the Cardinals 314-9000. Gabe Kiley would be happy to take that phone call and take your order. Cardinals yearbook. Andrew Miller, Cardinals 5 outs away from taking this ball game and taking game 1 of the series after Brebbia gets the first batter. And now it's Miller to face Adam Eaton, who is 0 for 3. So the top of this lineup 0 for 6. Now 0 for 7 after the ground out by Turner. And there's a nasty slider from Miller. Carlos Martinez is throwing in the Cardinal pen, and hopefully everything's all right with him. 0-2. Find out more as he gets loose and gets warmed up in terms of his breathing and how he feels.
Nasty slider right there.
His respiratory issue was unavailable yesterday. Cardinals bullpen 7 runs in the final innings of that 7-6 loss to the Brewers. Hit the other way, and there's Marcell Ozuna for out number 2. Prior to that blow up of the bullpen, Cardinals had allowed just 2 runs in the previous 22 innings from their pen. Martinez looking to see if Mike Schill wants to make a move here, and it does not seem to be the case. You've got a lefty and Soto on deck, so you take your chances here.
Yeah, this is interesting. You want...
Wow, Tommy Edman to his left. Yes. What a play by Tommy.
We'll talk later of why that was interesting.
Man, he's some kind of player.
Panic.
Cardinals with a lead of 4-2, and Wander Suero is the new pitcher in for the Washington Nationals. Tall right-hander made his debut for Washington in 2018. He's been in their organization since all the way back in 2010. Leads the Nationals with now 72 appearances.
Man,
72 for a right-hander, and for a right-hander that at times can throw hard. You know, you get 72 to 80 for, you know what I mean? I mean, you get those for the lefties, not for the righties. Still a couple of weeks to go.
Yeah.
Here's Yadier Molina.
Half of the games. He's going to be in 5 or 6 more games for sure.
Yeah. I said at times because he'll hit 95, 96, but consistently he's been 92 to 94.
Up the average, yeah, he's been the average is not bad, about 93.5 at times.
Yep. So Molina has singled on an 0-2 pitch, stole his 5th base back in the first, grounded out to third, and also lined out to third. Great play by Rendon to take an extra base hit away. Great play moments ago by Tommy Edman. 0-2 pitch. Foul tip held on to, and a strikeout of Yadier Molina, and that's the 11th Cardinal strikeout this evening.
It's like a cutter right there, too. It came back. If this ball doesn't cut a little bit, yep, cutter. Threw it in, tried to run it back across the plate. Pretty good pitch right there.
Edman, couple of hits. A stolen base, his 13th. Cardinals with 4 stolen bases tonight. Love watching him play a little defense too down at the hot corner.
So athletic. Tell you what, that play he made late in spring going up the middle or in the hole for, I can't even remember if he was playing short or second, but he went across the bag and
was playing second base, wound up on the shortstop side
way
of the
on
bag
the shortstop
with
side
a diving
of
play too.
Got up and made the play.
Here's a 1-1 to Tommy Edman.
That is nasty cutter right there. That is Mariano Rivera cutter at 93.
Oh. Out to center. Stung the ball again, but it's taken there by Robles. Harrison Bader 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. So Suero's gotten the first 2. Looking ahead to the 9th, it'll be Soto, Cabrera, and Zimmerman. You got to wonder if Mike Schill would want to start the inning with Soto facing the lefty Andrew Miller. Boy, that thing is moving a ton.
No, thank you. That's as a lefty, you just don't want to see that.
That will just eat a lefty up.
This guy's a broken bat waiting to happen. Right?
I'm just not swinging. And literally, if you start to see the football come out of the hand, I'm not swinging. Either that or you actually change your approach as a lefty and try to get on top of it and hope that you hit it.
Now, one reason you may want to start the inning with Carlos Martinez, number one, it's a clean inning for the closer. Number two is that Soto has batted .297 with a .886 OPS against lefties, so not too shabby.
Yeah, take your pick. The good news is if he hits a homer, still up by 1. That's how you got to approach it.
That missed. Only 6 home runs against lefties, 28 of the 34 against right-handed pitching. But they're down 2, and he's due up first.
You almost would rather have him hit a homer than hit a double.
3-1 pitch coming up now to Bader. Popped up. The second baseman, Cabrera. We'll see how Mike Schilt wants to play it. I would assume it's Martinez, but we'll find out when we come back. The Budweiser plays of the game. It's been just a fun ball game all the way around. That was the outfield assist from Marcell Ozuna. And Ozuna has driven in all 4 tonight for St. Louis, and all 4 coming with 2 outs. 2-run homer early on, and then a double to put the Birds on top 4-2. We're in the top of the 9th. It'll be Soto, Cabrera, and Zimmerman. So here's our answer. It is Andrew Miller to face Soto, at least to start the inning. It was a much-needed 7-pitch inning for the Pen in the 8th. Miller and Brebbia. Juan Soto grounded to short, fly to center, walked and scored.
Tried for the corner and missed.
He did get the ball. First time that Soto has ever faced Miller.
It's the first time that Miller's at the sign, too.
That was way outside.
Just a bit outside. Oh, you got to laugh sometimes. Just gave Purina a nice
dent.
Yeah, a great commercial.
In the air, right field. Fowler is there.
Good hit. Good look at that. Nice little camera work right there.
I was thinking, Jimmy, if he got Soto, would Mike Schilt stay with Miller for the potential of just closing this thing out?
And I would hope so.
Martinez, another day, regroup. You're not sure what you might have in him if and when he does come in tonight. So we'll see.
I think maybe he's just, if he stays clean, I think he'll stay with him. I think maybe if he gives up a hit or a walk, maybe he goes to Martinez to get the ground ball or the strikeout.
Yeah, it's all dependent, I think, with this at bat right here. With Cabrera, who is singled, he's 1 for 3. Switch hitter, he's 8 for 17 as a national from this side of the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. 262 the average this season against left-handed pitching, 252 against the righties. And overall in his career, he's been better against left-handed pitching. The 1-1, now 1-2.
It's just really funny to say, too, because you know what? This isn't your typical lefty. So I think sometimes you have to almost throw those numbers out the window.
Yeah.
That's like saying you're, guys hitting
this against lefties, but you forget that the guy throwing is Randy Johnson. Or, you know, I mean, it's just, there's some guys are just different, and you can't put the numbers on them.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Missed in. After tonight, another one off the schedule with 12 to play. Cardinals trying to make sure that Chicago stays at least 2 back, Milwaukee at least 3 back. The 2-2. Ground ball chopped to short, taken there by DeYoung. Plenty of time, and there's 2 away. Nissan drives of the game. Ozuna, the home run that was hit in the 1st inning. And then ground rule double in the 7th, and that scored 2. Zimmerman, by the way, 5 for 12, and of the 5 hits, 2 homers off of Andrew Miller, so that's why you see this move. Good work so far by the pen. 1 out to go. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a tsunami warning. That's what they do when he comes in. They say it's a tsunami warning.
I love it. I love it.
Chevy called to the pen along with that.
The music's going. The lights are flashing. Come in and let it go. It'd be great to be a closer with an arm like that.
4-2 our scores. Zimmerman trying to extend the ball game. 2 outs here in the top of the 9th and nobody on. First pitch. Strike 1.
I think he was looking for the heater.
Yeah.
He got the slider. Didn't hit a spot, but thank God he didn't.
He has had one out save of his career, looking for number 2. And the 0-1 pitch. Out to center. There's Bader. There's a win. 4-2. The Cardinals take game 1. 4-2 the final.
And thankfully, the tsunami warning is over for the safety of the city of St. Louis.
You got it. The lights were flashing. The music was on. We had
Sirens
a warning.
were going.
And now it's over. Cardinals win it 4-2. The post game is coming up. Lots to get into. Good ball game here tonight. 12 to go and still at least a 2-game lead.